Hey,
Hey,
I'm all
Captain,
right, folks. I'm all
good to
right.
see you.
Welcome
Good,
back.
good, good.
Good to be
Good.
You're
here.
looking wide-eyed and bushy-tailed like me.
Yeah, I had a skin disease and I've been laying low and unable to go do anything. So this is like a high point of the week right now. Yes, it always is. Um, but hanging out, just checking emails and Facebook, see what's going on.
Yeah,
Get a
that's
lot of
good.
input back from my grandkids, both volleyball champions. Two of them are, but things are
Nice.
going pretty good. I've been watching the I've been paying real close attention to our Facebook and other channels. Hey, folks, what are y'all doing? Really? What are you doing? I don't see photographs, and I think JJ seeing articles and stuff. So what are you doing? Come
Yep.
on. Um, like tonight, we get to talk about roofs and weather and everything else, but really, what's been spinning on your lathes? What have you been turning? What innovative thing have you discovered in your shop and came up with or solved and all that? And that's why we gather on Wednesday nights. I want to know how the turning world is. The rest of those people, go away. Yeah. So you got life problems. Everybody's got life problems. You know. But really, our world is wood turning, and I want to know what's going on. Really do, and I'm missing parts of it. I really am. I'm not seeing those little things that I used to see from your shop. I used to be getting a lot of input back from what are you doing? What are you coming up with? I saw a cute one on cute, pardon the term. I saw a nice one on Facebook today. A guy opened the back of his pickup truck, flopped down the tail bed, and it's at the perfect height for his one way. And I'm sorry, um, boy, I can't even say that without slapping myself. He's got a little um, mini 1014 made by Jet that is locked onto his tailgate, made to stay there. He just flips the tailgate down and it doesn't move or anything else. And then he's got his tool racks right there. So when he closes up the tailgate of his truck, his lathe is there. He gets where he wants to go to spend the day, comes down the tailgate. His lathe is set up. He unhooks from his trailer, of course. And he said he stands there and turns, makes things in the campground. And he has a ball. He gives most of it away. And his wife said, "Why don't you sell it?" And he says, "I'm on vacation." The guy
Nice.
is stealing my heart. I mean, isn't that what we're supposed to do? Go out and have a little fun. And this guy brought it right with him. His tailgate has to be at the right height. Everything works out the same. Doesn't have to move anything. It's cool. He had it made. He reminded me about 25, 28 years ago, I was building something on a Coast Guard station across the river. And I got employed by this contractor, and they told me I was going to build this big depot, fuel depot for the Coast Guard on an air base. And I got there, I said, "Okay, when do we go?" And the guy said, "Oh, we won't be building anything probably another 6 or 7 weeks. We'll just stay here and wait." I said, "Why are we here?" "Well, we'll get paid per day to wait until the engineer can answer a question we asked about pile driving." So why is it going to take so long? Well, the engineer quit, and the Coast Guard is going to take a little time to hire a new one. But while we're on stop, they pay us to wait. So we get you here, put the trailer here and the phones and all that stuff, and then we wait. And you just sit here and wait. Is that what we do? And this was Cedars Electro something out of Florida. And that's the kind of job this crew ran. They had an inside source to find these jobs and target just these kinds of jobs. And that's how they made their money. I brought my Mini 14 out there and set up in the back of that trailer, and I turned every day. And I had the Coast Guard guys coming out there all day long and they'd spend hours with me. I taught them how to turn, make all kinds of things. And the commander
That
came
would have
out.
been fun.
Okay. He said, I got to put a stop to this. I said, put a stop to it. He said, yeah, you're making wine bottle stoppers. These guys think they got to go buy wine every day when they come back from here. So we tuned it into something else, but I had a ball. Every day I brought my lab with me. Every day I worked with my lab and played with all my lathe. And I left that job because I couldn't stand it anymore. Although I wasn't doing anything, it was an easy building to put up. Somebody called me and said, hey, are you busy? And I said, no, you want to do this? Yeah, sure. Are you going to really build something? Because I want to go someplace where I can really build something. But the story with the guy at the tailgate reminded me of that day. As soon as I got there, I came home, got my lathe, got a table put together, and went back to work the next day with all my stuff. Figured, hey, I'm just going to be able to stand back here and play. And it was nice. And I had an open back of the trail. I could watch the A-10s, the ugly warthogs, coming and going all day with their practices and everything. And I was training a new lab, and he was my best friend. He was right with me all day. It was the best of all worlds. Really was.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it was. I had a good time, and I got to practice what I was doing, but I got to teach people.
Right.
And these guys, I got to honor Coast Guardsmen. I mean, you might think the Coast Guard boats. No, these guys work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Unlike some of the other branches of the military, and I've been around them all. I was EOD troop. I was an ammo troop in the Air Force, and I've been around all the branches. These guys had a real regime of what they had to do for training and organization and effectiveness. And I really admired them. They're very good. Changed my whole outlook on how it was. And I picked up a job while I was there. They had another job that they could charge my time to. And they flew me down a Coast Guard in a Dolphin. I didn't know that when I asked for the ride, I'd have to ride in the basket. I thought I'd be able to sit in the seat. But it was still an enjoyable ride. But my 2.5 hour car trip became a 15-minute flight. It was an enjoyable day. When I moved down there for a week, I brought my lathe with me and I did the same thing down there. Had all those coasties coming out, and I was in their main headquarters building and had little turning classes and projects. But I admired the guy I saw with the pickup truck. I thought today, that's the way to go about it. If you go someplace and you just set up your gear and do something. And my wife is doing a workshop at a public library in a couple of weeks. And when I was with Bayou Woodturners, we did this a couple of years. They don't do fun things like that anymore. They're too uppity. But we did this project. We went to the public library to recruit members and picked up a lot of members and a lot of interest in the club there. We set up in one of the meeting rooms in turn. We had 3 or 4 guys that would turn different things. And it was not a real lesson, but a demonstration. And when we went there the other day to set up her meeting room again, brought back memories of, I would like to see a club do that again. And I like when clubs do open invites and say, hey, let's go to all the wood stores and the tool stores and put out a little flyer and say, you want to come have some fun? You want to come see some wood turning, see some real wood turning art? Come join us. Free. No commitments, nothing. We don't even want to know your name and address if you choose not to. You just want to pop in, bring your wife and your kids, come in, come see our work, come see what we do, visit with us. You never know. The bug might bite you. It just, you might get bitten while you were there. And then that's the best kind. You're not forced into it. You just come in and see the things we do, what comes up, and an innovation that'll pop out. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, you've been there, you'll look at things and say, how the heck did they do that? And you've seen work right here in our gallery, which we'll see tonight. You'll see pieces that say, how did he hold that? How did he turn that? And we'll always be asking, what kind of finish is that? How big is it? What kind of wood it is? Those are the basic checks. I had a fellow pop in the other day to give us an estimate or something for the house here again. And I showed him a piece I had in my gallery, and he picked it up and he moved the lid. He says, "Oh, that's got a wood turner's fit." I was amazed. He knew that little pop on the top, and he knew regular. It just fits there, but a wood turner, it snaps, it pops at you, and he said, "Oh, that's nice." And he'd been around us, not really experienced it, but there was no place I could guide him to see it here. There's nothing like that in New Orleans right now. It's just a shame. Um, if I was more ambitious at this point in my life, I would start another club. I really would. I'd find a way to do it. Find enough people to get together, just like we did 25 years ago or 30 years ago. We formed Bayou Wood Turners. So you get people together and we'd find a place. I mean, look at our age. We're all qualified to be in the senior citizen centers, and just get folks together to see what they come up with. And that's where some of the art really comes out at. I've seen some beautiful detailing and carving and engraving, and I've seen stuff that when I first saw what Matt Harbour did with coloring and engraving and things like that, I got to thinking about a young man I met and through our club here, who left the club because he was selling his work and didn't want to share what he thought was his talent, because he didn't want to develop any competition in the marketplace. But he could really do nice platters and stuff. He hand carved them all. He turned them simple turning, fairly flat, maybe a ridge or two, but then he hand carved them all out, and he was very talented at that. And when I just saw his work, I thought that's what got me thinking about ornamental work, and I developed Lazilla, the ornamental lathe, right after that, because there's got to be an easy, smoother way to get some of that done. And that's why I want to see what you folks do. You all do it. You create some fantastic art, and sometimes you just challenge the wood. And yeah, it's not that if you challenge the wood and you beat it, I want to see it. Really do. We all want to see it. We all want to see what you come up with.
It's fascinating, Eddie, that you mentioned that person had said that about the competition. I have when I don't do shows anymore or fairs, but when I first started out, I did a couple of years. I did some shows, and I shared a booth with another wood turner, and our pieces were different enough that we weren't competing with each other, and it was kind of interesting. So it was, I wasn't doing the sorts of things that I'm doing now, of course, but even now, if we shared, we still wouldn't be competing with each other. So we all put our own twist on things, and usually it's different enough that things aren't comparative. So I don't know, it's interesting.
I did the same thing with a fellow named Dale Campo, and Dale has moved on to I think he lives in Missouri someplace now. But we shared a booth twice at an art fair here, and both times I did extremely well with my ornamental work, but he did extremely well in his simple bowl work. But his simple bowl work was not just so simple. It was very refined work, great detailing, and there was nothing plain about it. And he was a 2 and 3 step turner. He would rough, trim, shape, finish. And it would be over a 3 or 4 or 5 month period of time for the bowl. He had that kind of patience. I've never had that kind of patience. But we were in the same booth together. We weren't competition, but there was a wood turner, 2 other wood turners that came there that thought of us as being competition for him. One guy did novelty desk trinkets, all out of the PSI catalog, every one of them. And the other guy did um, turned timber into odd looking furniture and stuff. But he turned it was kind of unique, very unique. So there was no competition, but they thought we were. They objected to us being there to the director of the show. Oh, it was too much. And my thing was, we hadn't tapped it. We haven't put a splash on a well yet. Much too much. No, we haven't even touched it. And I was having a problem getting that organization to accept the fact that we could do a larger tent, put 4 or 5 or 6 members there. But I needed to knock off that $100 a member charge to be there. And I just give me one good meeting and I'd show you something that people will come to see. And they were managed by Tulane University, just had eyes for money. So but it was interesting. There's another one of those art shows this weekend. The weather's nice. I plan on popping over there on my bicycle and seeing how it's going. It's just far enough from the house for me to make it on a full charge battery. Yeah, I cheat. I have a battery powered bicycle. I can get 12 miles an hour out there on the top of the levee. I'm zipping along. So, but I want to see what you folks have got and how you did it, really. And remember, we're always going to ask those questions. How big is it? What is it? What finish do you have on it? How did you hold it? Or where'd you come up with the idea? And we all have to keep in mind that we do not copy anybody's work. We really don't. I can't copy your work. I rely on God for that because God doesn't make any 2 pieces of wood alike, and he doesn't let them cut alike. He doesn't let them finish alike. So it's up to me to make a piece look something sort of like what you came up with. So I can't copy your work. And actually, I think you'd be quite honored if you turned out something so nice that I thought that I may attempt it. Yes, I'm that shallow-minded that I would be honored if you copied something I did. Yes, because we're not the only 2 humans on Earth, and other people are doing it every single day. Hey, remember we have a no bud guarantee. We often talk about this, but if you're going to show us your work, and don't hold back, show us your work, because we have a rule here at Worldwide Woodturners, is that we can never say but. If you show us a piece of your work, we can't say, I like that but. No, that but can't come out. It's a no but guarantee. We are in no position to critique your work, criticize your work, or whatever. That's not, and I don't believe anybody really is. If you create something and it comes out of your heart, it's yours. And if it's beautiful, it's beautiful. Beautiful to your eye, it's beautiful to my eye. And I saw this the other day, something on Facebook where a guy said, I'm so honored such and such reviewed my piece and had great comments about it. And my brakes were on. I got to thinking, you know what? I've never turned a piece to ask him if it's okay. He's a noted turner, but I've never turned a piece in my life for me to ask him if it's okay. And I hope you're not doing it. I hope you're not turning, asking somebody else, is this nice? Is this okay? That's not the bottom line here. The bottom line is turn your work your way to your best effort and be happy with it. Wow. And I tell you what, it's more satisfying that way than saying, oh, it just didn't come out so well. So well, the hell, it's great. It's awesome. Came out from your hands. So I'd like to see it. I really would. If you got anything else to chat about tonight, that's it. We have a great demonstration coming up. As always, the best turners in the entire world are joining us tonight, and it's from all over the world. And we invite them all. And for some of these folks that I see, it's early in a wee morning or late at night. and they're still hanging in there with us, still joining us, still want to chat about it. Welcome them, welcome you. Bring a friend whenever you can, and remember this entire thing. Everything that happens here stays here. It goes on our website, so there's no secrets. Every word, all the chat, everything goes to the website. We got the world's greatest website director. Dave Rhodes handles it, puts it out there. But he's not alone. He's not alone. We have an editor for our newsletter that is world class. Nobody else can even touch this. But that guy is lonely. He really is. JJ's missing some friends. Yes, he's looking for articles, photographs, pieces, information, tidbits, things like that. All those little things that you think would jump all over a newsletter. He doesn't have them all. He's looking for them. That's where you come in. Really. They said that he needs, I hate to be submissive, but he wants you to be submissive. He wants you to submit stuff to him. He really wants to hear from the woodturners. He does a great job at this. He does. I bind mine up every 2 weeks. We get one every 2 weeks. It's not monthly. It's not semi-monthly. It's not bi-monthly or whatever this stuff. It's every 2 weeks. We get a new edition. Every time I get one, and I go to clinic at least 5 days a week now, I bring a copy with me. I print one. It's black and white. I leave it on a reading table. And every time I get comments, I see people pick it up, holy, and I can't use the words some of these guys use. And really, I'm not permitted. But they look at it and say, man, how the hell did you do that? And a guy the other day, he was looking at a piece, and this was one from when Rita, y'all know Rita, that's Knox's wife. When she did a piece for us, he looked at it, he said, a lady made this? I wanted to go slap him upside of his head. You right, a lady made that, So, if you get something unique, it's being admired by other people. Even that melanated thinks a lady can't turn wood. So you got something, let's see it, folks. It's a little bit after 6 o'clock. I think it's time to do some gallery.
Yeah, we can do that.
If you got things going on, I want to know about it. We got an event calendar. You got an event coming up, including the club meeting. Put it on the event calendar. Who's on for gallery, Dane?
Well,
You
we're
gotta
gonna
have
go.
some folks out there.
We're gonna go with Mr. Howard Johnson.
Howard?
Hello, hello. This is a piece of mesquite that I hollowed and
Okay, don't move it so fast, Howard. Don't move it so fast. There you go.
that's my first attempt at open weave carving.
Man, I tell you what, do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
That is nice.
Oh, man.
Well done, Howard.
That's beautiful.
That's nice.
That's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
The painting too.
It's got a little bit of, I just did a dilute wash on the leaves on top to give it a little bit of color.
How did you add it? Was that sprayed or did you dab it on or?
What I did, I just got very, very dilute and just painted it on with a brush.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
It's just like a wash. It's just a wash is all it is, real dilute wash.
Looks really good.
Yeah,
That's really good.
Beautiful.
and texture. What I did, I took with my carving, did a little ball, and then come back and speckled it in with pyrography. I made fill in the little gaps, and got a little
Very nice.
put on it. But look at this color on the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mesquite is such a beautiful wood. So
You did a nice job too. Just beautiful wood, but you did a nice job.
this was a real challenge. Mesquite is hard. It's kind of a hard wood, and to carve it's quite of a challenge. And I spent a lot of time. It took me I worked on this thing for about 3 weeks, I guess, where I finally got it where I kind of liked it. But I think
what tool did you use to do the carving?
Excuse me?
What tool did you use to do the carving?
Well, I use I've got the Dremels, I've got a Fordham, I got micro motors, and I've also got a press an air turbine, kind of like a dental thing, which I did a lot of detail work with, and I just play with everything I got, and carving is something I really got to. I really enjoy it, and it's one of these things where you can just,
Cool.
when you get tired, you can just turn around and walk away from it, and then come
Yep.
back when you get feeling better about it. Yeah. Anyway,
How do you like that turbine, Howard? I've been thinking of, yeah, I've been thinking about getting one.
what's that? I'm sorry.
How do you like that turbine?
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. I got, it was, well, the guy with Magnolia wood turners. I can't remember his name. I get at senior moments, but I took a class with him and carved some leaves, and I got hooked. And,
Yeah.
Cool.
so that's,
No, I see that, every once in a while you kept moving around. I was able to see through it. So that's hollowed out.
yeah, it's hollowed. What I did, I carved, I made the sphere, and then I cut it in half, and I hollowed out each half, and then I glued it back together
Uh-huh.
to make the sphere. And so. But,
Were you talking about Sammy Long?
yes, Sammy Long. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. I took
Howard.
a class from him, and that's what got me
Howard,
started.
Please,
So,
please email photos of that for the newsletter, please.
well, I don't. All I have is a Note 20, and it doesn't have. I don't know if it's got 300 DPI in it or not. I'll send you what I got, and hopefully it'll do what you want for it.
We'll
okay?
see if we can work with it. You betcha.
Yeah.
I've switched to taking my pictures with my phone, which is a Samsung Galaxy S23.
Yeah.
And the Note that I was taking them with the Note 8 before, and I switched to that from a digital, regular DSLR digital camera, because the lenses were better on my phone than they were on the camera.
Right.
So you should be able to get good pictures. Just make sure you keep lock your arms into your sides and
Yeah.
keep it steady when you take it.
Well, I've got some nice pictures. I'll send them in for the. But this was fun. I tried to make this look like a rope. And
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah,
how.
it works.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway. So
You
anyway,
succeeded.
sir.
You succeeded.
I hope so. But anyway, all right. Well, thanks a lot for letting me share.
All right. Thanks, Dewey.
You bet.
Very pretty.
All right. Let's go to Safety Sue.
Great job, Dewey.
Hi
Thank you.
there.
Hey, Sue.
Well, I'm getting back into it, guys.
All right.
So this was the first pen I did. And
Nice.
it's a Vesper click. And
Look towards you. There you go.
it's on gunmetal and gunmetal. The other one I did was from teak. And I sanded this a lot more than I did the acrylic. I brought it up to 1,000, then put like 10 layers of 3460 on it, Parfix 3460, and then micro meshed it and put all kinds of wax on it, but it never really got shiny. Not the way I like it to get shiny. But this is gunmetal and gold.
That's
It's
pretty.
it's got to
it's
be
in-
smooth.
Nice.
Yeah, it's smooth.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It's really smooth. It's pretty.
Good job, Sue.
Yeah. Those are both
Glad to
very
see
nice.
you back to turning, Sue.
Right.
Yep. Yep. I went and I bought
Nice
myself a
job.
I need something that's easier for me to see so that I can grind things right. So I purchased the Kodiak system from Woodturner's Wonders with the 1.5-inch wheels, and the wheels are on the grits also down on the sides, so I can get a flat grind on a lot of my skews.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
Glad it's
supposed to
helping.
be, so I'll let you know.
Good.
Right on.
Nice.
All right. Thank you, Sue.
Yep.
Al, start your video.
Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's good. I asked a lot of questions because I'm trying to get into the carving a little bit. I've got probably a month's worth of or sanding still to do here. But I hollowed it up, nothing like what we just saw. This is, I think, just Bradford pear, but it's a lot of work involved. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah,
I figure I
Yep.
showed you. See the cracks? See the cracks? I figure I better show it now because it'll take me about a month to finish sanding it. It'll probably crack in half by the time I'm done. So I figured, hey, I better show it tonight. You know? Now everybody knows about Disney World and all their problems that they're having right now. And they said that Mickey was out last night drinking with his buddies Bud Lights. And here's the crime scene.
that was good.
This is the crime scene. Is public.
I
You're
saw
bad.
the bastard go across my kitchen floor this morning. I thought it was him.
That is
Place for
hilarious.
Mickey.
This is a crime scene. Hey, he did it to himself.
Yeah, right.
Well, the Bud Light drinking.
Yeah.
Too cute.
Knocked him out of his shoes.
Because I'm me, and I don't go far. I never finish anything I do. I'm here for the fun.
There you
All
go.
right. Thanks, Al.
All right. Hey, everybody have a good night. Thank you so much for everything. Really.
All right, now.
Thanks.
All right. Let's go to Mr. Kingsley. Hey, Dave.
Howdy.
What's up,
I
Papa?
didn't hear me. Well, I just did a basic little oak box. I managed to get a decent fit on it. Little swirl on the top.
Looks good.
Cool.
But and if you notice, that wasn't from the
Oh.
lathe. I did that pushing my grandson around on his cozy coop. Go figure, right?
Oh my goodness.
But I had something else I wanted to bring up.
Grandpas aren't safe anywhere.
No,
Nope.
I mentioned a while ago that I had gotten a bunch of wood, and I don't know if you can see it there, but it's something especially for the people who are just starting to mill their own lumber from raw stock. One thing you've got to watch out for is this
Ring
kind of
shake.
thing.
Oh, ring shake.
Ring shake.
Yep.
And the first time I ran across that, I nearly decapitated myself because I had no clue. So guys, if you're new at this, you see something like this, be very, very careful.
Yeah,
'Cause
avoid it,
it
actually.
can come apart. Yeah.
Cut that up into straight box blanks.
Right. Exactly. You
Yeah.
can use it for something, but
Not as a
not in
bowl.
one piece. Not a bowl.
No.
Not as a platter. Ain't no amount of resin or CA gonna fix that.
No.
Nope.
That was great information, Dave. Thank you.
Well, it was such an obvious example. I thought, it might save somebody.
Hopefully.
But that's it. I usually don't get a whole lot of time on the lathe because of the little guy. And I had to spend the day sanding off some sharp edges on the cozy coop, which is supposed to be child safe. But it
Dave, was
wasn't.
Dave,
Oh,
Dave,
it is. You're not a child.
Well, the thing
Dave,
is,
on that ring shake, on that ring shake, is that walnut that you've just held up?
no, that was cherry.
It was cherry.
Yes.
Cherry, you could probably, like you've just shown there, you can see it a lot more. Walnut is renowned for hiding it because
Yes.
you've got the black lines sometimes you can't see it at all. So be very careful with walnut for the likes of ring shake. Give it a tap. Sometimes if you tap it before, you can almost hear it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're a hollow thud.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Your piece,
that tree
your
came down
piece
in the
when you're-
storm, so it was pretty well wind battered before it came down.
Yeah, another
it usually
telltale sign
happens.
is when you're turning it, say you didn't notice it had ring shake, but you notice that, one side is turning fine, but the other side, the wood is bouncing off your tool. That's where the wood's out of balance, keeps getting further and further out of balance. That's a telltale sign as well.
Yeah, it usually happens because the tree sort of twists as it falls. So you get that's how, it puts a lot of stress on the individual rings, and that is usually what causes it.
Yeah, well, and sometimes it's just a flexing of high winds.
Of high winds. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the tree, and it's the
Trees
trees on
subjected
the
to a lot of
outside
high
of,
winds.
and it's the trees on the outside of the forest that are taking the brunt of the winds as well.
But yeah, this one up higher in the tree, it was fine. But this was down probably 6 feet above the stump, so it was pretty nasty down there.
Yeah, that was from when it was felled, twisted.
But that's it for me.
Right on, Dave. Thank you. All right, let's go see what Craig's got.
Good evening, everybody. Well, I got a friend that works at a bowling alley, and they replaced a lot of the bowling pins. So he gave me a box of 10 of the old ones. Getting that plastic off of them before you do anything with the wood is very challenging. But I also like to do some hand carving and everything, and I'm wanting to get into a little bit larger stuff. So I thought, well, might as well make a mallet out of it. And I mean, that's all I got tonight, but
that's good.
Looks nice and heavy.
Looks
yeah,
like it's beating.
It's got a good knock. You can keep by the bed and somebody come up on you and knock them out. One thing I thought was kind of interesting, because I do bowl, is I did not put these grooves in here. And I think what it is that they have to be a certain weight, and there's, they can't vary from the precise weights too much. And I think that's how they, may have reduced it, but those slots were actually inside the pin. So, and I counted all the little parts of boards, and there's like 16 pieces of wood in this bowling pin.
Wow. What kind of wood is it?
I'm sorry?
Right.
What kind of wood is it?
I don't know. It looks like a wide variety. I don't know if
I've never researched what they make bowling pins out of. I
Normally,
wouldn't have a clue.
yeah.
They're normally maple, and they're mixed maple.
Yeah.
And you're right in what you're saying with the every bowling pin has them missing. And originally I thought it was for weight. And it's not actually for weight. If you imagine missing that little bit of wood out of pins and timesing that by thousands, how many more pins are you going to keep producing cheaper? And that's the only reason. The way that they're missing them holes. There's normally 4 in a bowling pin. If you cut straight through it, you'll find the other 2 at the other side.
Okay.
It is literally where they glue the sections of wood up, and it's just a cheaper way of gluing the woods up.
Okay. When you were talking, I was starting to think, well, maybe it's got something to do with those pins take a lot of beating, and maybe that's a little bit of a shock absorption or something.
Yeah.
But I've been busy with other stuff. The only downside I have with the wood carving is I'm turning, so I don't have time to carve if I want to turn, if I want to carve that I can't turn. And I just got a bunch of lumber from a friend of mine's farm. A lot more of that 150-year-old barn they took down. So I've been prepping pieces and just got a 12-inch wide by about 10-foot long board. And it's pretty solid. I mean, there are some sections that are going to be for very small pieces, but it's so I've been busy on it. Oh, I am excited about one thing. I just got delivery yesterday of my Pro Grind sharpening system, similar to Wolverine, and got it put together yesterday. And I've been watching videos on. I've been freehanding it, and I get by, but I figured if I get this system set up, I can get a lot better edge and a lot quicker sharpening and save some time.
Sure.
So, but that's all from Brunswick, Georgia.
Right on. Thanks, Craig.
All right, thanks a lot.
Oh. So I got a signature tool from a Mr. Martin Pigeon, world-renowned turner from the UK. He makes what's called an all-rounder, which allows for you to cut uphill and downhill against the grain. So I had to make a nice new tool handle for it.
That looks good.
Goody.
It's a unique tool, let me tell you. And he's known for his light pulls. He's made hundreds of thousands of these light pulls all across Europe and North America. They've been sold.
Wow.
So he sent me one of these.
Cool.
Actually, he sent me a couple of them. So I thought I would have a go at it. He sent me a video on how he uses the tool. And so I did my best first go at it using the tool.
Mesquite.
And
That's really good, Dave.
That's pretty.
so with this tool, you can not only cut coming downhill, you can cut uphill in one fell swoop. You don't have to take the tool off. It is an amazing tool how it cuts and how you're able to defy the principles of cutting.
Show that close. Okay, now turn it. No, turn it back right there. No, go back a little bit. Right about there. Stop.
So these are curved, and
It's curved. It's curved.
Okay.
It's straight across the top.
It
Okay.
permits you to read the bevel at the point you wish to read the bevel.
And you cut with the whole cutting apparatus uphill and downhill. It's just simply amazing.
Dane, are you able to slice with that?
Absolutely. 100% slicing cuts. No scraping involved.
And no sanding.
You can do that with a handful of blades. You can do it with a skew blade and get the same kind of effect. Because you can ride that bevel to the degree you want to. You can push it up or you can push it down.
Right. However, you can't take a skew and go uphill. I can come from this cove and come up this bead, go down that bead, come back up that bead, all while getting slicing cuts.
No, what is this tool called?
It's called an all-rounder. It's his signature tool, Martin Pigeon, made by Ashley Isles. So it's a sweet tool. And that's what I've got.
That's nice.
Yeah, trust me, I defies all, I mean, I've seen him use it. Like I said, he sent me a video on how to use it. Of course, him trying to turn slow is extremely difficult. So even him turning slow, it was still super fast. But basically, you know, saw how he was doing it. Tool handle down, cutting on center. Beautiful, beautiful cutting tool, and it's not something you're gonna find here in the States. It's very unique. Once eventually I'll do a demo for the club and show the amazingness about it.
I picked mine up at the wood turning festival in Tennessee, probably a dozen years ago or so. And it was, I watched the guy do it. It was a dream to watch him work it. I mean, he went uphill, downhill. But the slicing, what caught me was the slicing cuts he did. They were just impeccable and beautiful.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I was amazed. Totally stoked about it. Looking forward to getting very proficient in it. And Martin Clarkson could talk more about it.
Yeah, I'd better dive in, Dane, because Martin will be very honoured in the presentation that you've just given for him, undoubtedly. The Martin Pigeon All Rounder is a unique tool. I always say, don't waste your money on buying tools that you see somebody else using. Learn to use the tools that you have. But the likes of the Martin Pigeon All-Rounder does kind of break a lot of the rules, and it's interesting that Dane has managed to master it. Martin's been my mentor for the last 8 years. I'm very, very close to Martin, and really, if it wasn't for Martin, I wouldn't be the turner that I am now. He changed my direction massively. He was determined that I was going to use that all-rounder, and I used the all-rounder for quite some time. I then started using the skew a lot more, and the two tools do work. The difference with the all-rounder is you've got to get the grind right, and when you're sharpening it, it is imperative that the front edge is dead straight, and the curve to the front edge on both sides is the same. So you almost put it on your grinder and roll it up over, you know, to give yourself that that kind of nice curve on there, Dane. So, you know, I'm sure Martin will tell you how to look after it, but you have got to grind it.
He made a video for me on sharpening too.
Yeah. And certainly, you know, Martin did an awful lot over in the States many, many years ago. He hasn't travelled as much recently. I do keep trying to get him to slow down a little bit and get on that plane and go over to the likes of SWAT again, because he loves being part of the turning community over in the States, and did an awful lot over there previously. So I will, when I see him tomorrow, Dane, I will say that you even announced his tool last night, because I know you were pleased to get it, and yes. Martin's pleased to have sent it across to you.
Right. Thanks, Martin. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go to Bill Loosh. Hey, Bill.
Hello, all. Hope you're all well. Here in Quebec, we're now into spring. The snow is finally gone, and it's a lot more pleasant in the workshop. So this little piece is a big leaf maple candy bowl. It's about candy dish. It's about 5 inches across and 2 inches down. Got a bit of figuring in it, but mostly it was fun to practice the undercutting the lip. So,
beautiful.
Oh, very nice.
And the other piece, this is a West Coast maple. They don't grow around here. And this is a red cedar burl, again from the West Coast, a bit of hollow form. This one's about 6 inches in diameter, 3 inches high. I left a little lip on the top just for accent, I guess. This one is, the finish is Yorkshire grit, basically. I don't know whether, how many of you are familiar with Yorkshire grit. It's basically a diatomaceous earth, beeswax, and mineral spirits. So it's a very, very fine polish. You use it as kind of a last stage. But I thought this was such a pretty wood that rather than put poly on it, I would just buff it and leave it the way it is. So
Looks
that's
good.
Beautiful,
Love
Western
that shape.
cedar burl. Yeah.
beautiful.
And that's
Nice
it for
work.
tonight. Thank you.
Both looked great.
Thank you.
Nice job, Bill.
Thanks.
Okay, well, next up is we've got Sandy on her iPad.
There we go. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi. Been a long time.
Welcome
since
back.
I've been- Well, yeah, thank you. It's been a while. Life really can get complicated. I'm in Arizona and I finally got back to the shop and I'm able to turn. So this is what I have for tonight. It's a bowl of, for those that are familiar with Arizona, it's a native wood, I guess, here mostly. It's sisu, which is also a rosewood. Am I right, Dane? You're from this area.
I'm sorry, say it again.
This is sisu, which I think is native to Arizona. I didn't know. I figured you would be more familiar than me.
Yeah, it's in the rosewood family.
It's in the rosewood family. Yeah, when I purchased this, they said it was Indian rosewood. It's a beautiful piece of wood. About
It is gorgeous.
yeah, it's about 10, I want to say about 10 inches wide and probably 4.5, 5 inches tall. So the only, I love this on the bottom. I just wish it had gone up this side a little bit more, but I can't be too picky. The only tricky part I had for myself was the finish on this thing. I had it and it was totally dry and I put the moisture meter on it and I did all the things I'm supposed to do. But it has, apparently inside, it's an oily wood. And so it took quite a while to get a finish on it. But it's there. So I really,
great.
really,
Beautiful.
Very nice.
yeah.
It was
so-
worth it. Very nice, Sandy.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
everything about it's gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you. But anyway, it was fun. It turns easily enough. It's the finishing that gave me a little issue, but I got there. Anyway,
Yeah,
thank
most
you.
rosewoods are oily and it'll give you some problems.
Yeah, it did. It did. I struggled a bit, but I persevered. I fought the battle. Anyway, thank you guys, and I'm glad to be back.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Welcome
Sandy.
back.
Good to see you.
See you again.
Next one, next is me. It's curious, Dane, that you did some light pulls. I've got a lot going on in the shop, but I've done some light pulls this week too. So
How
that's
about that?
oak. And there's another one that's oak. Stop that.
Still, you're making me dizzy.
And I did one in box elder too. They're very similar in design to the one that you showed, Dane. So I've got a lot else going on in the shop, but nothing to show. So and then the next up after me is Billy.
Oh.
If I can find him. There he is.
He ran away. I've got a couple of things. One, I did this one last week, but the finish wasn't dry in time for the show or the meeting. You know, one of my favorite walk tools had a bamboo handle, and you can see the split down it because my kids or grandkids kept putting it in the dishwasher in spite of me telling them not to. So I took a piece of Texas ebony that I had, it was a young growth piece, and turned a new handle for it.
That's
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. And I'm really happy with it now. And this better never, ever, ever see the dishwasher, or heads will roll. I guarantee you.
Hit him in the head with it.
I've been working on this piece for a couple of weeks. That's a lie. I started this piece. I have been working on it for a few weeks, but I actually started it back in 21.
COVID.
I started the first two rings that I made for it were this ring here. This is ash juniper, and I don't remember what I separated it with, but it's got small pieces in between. And this ash juniper ring here, this was actually the bottom, and this was the upper ring. I was making a salad bowl. And then I took, I had a walnut hollow form that I turned that I wasn't really happy. I wasn't really happy with the shape. And so I cut the top of it off, and it was going to make it the top of this thing. But I got to looking at it, and I made a feature ring. And so I got to looking at it, and I thought it don't look very good that way, but it kind of looks pretty good that way.
Yeah.
It does.
So I flip-flopped it. This was the bottom, and so I just cut that out and returned the inside and made a African mahogany plug for the bottom. It has no finish on it yet. This is all just, it's got 2 coats of myelin sanding sealer. It's not even close to being done. I got to looking at it. I'm really happy with the shape. I've got to put finish on it, but in looking at it, I'm like, okay, it's got to have a lid, and a finial, because it just don't look right without it. So I started gluing this up today. This is going to be the lid. I've still got some pieces to add to make it big enough, but these are basically mostly offcuts from my chevron feature ring.
Okay.
That I'm just gluing up, and I've got 2 more pieces glued up that'll fit in here, and this will give me the diameter that I need for the lid. And I've glued a couple of more offcuts up to attempt to make a finial. I don't know how it's going to look, or even if it's going to be successful, but we're going to find out.
Excellent.
Anyway, that's what I've got.
What a
Right on,
piece.
Billy.
Thank you.
It looks way bigger than it did on Facebook.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's
That's
10
what
and
I
a half
thought.
inches. It's 10 and a half inches across and 7.5 inches tall so far.
Cool.
Yeah, I've been watching this. This has been on
And-
my Facebook feed like every day for the last 2 weeks.
And
so.
and the woods in it. This piece of walnut here was in an oak tree that came down on a house during Katrina, and my brother went and cut it off, and he asked me, he said, and you can see some of the figure in it. He asked me, he said, "You want this walnut?" And I said, "Of course." The chevrons are oak, rubber tree, and walnut. The ring on either side of these 3 segmented rings, these are beech. The segmented rings are African mahogany, walnut, and 100-year-old big leaf maple that came out of old growth big leaf maple that came out of a player piano made in 1936 in Chicago.
Wow.
You gonna be keeping that
So-
piece, or you gonna sell it?
I don't know yet. Everything's for sale, isn't it?
That sounds like a piece I'd never get rid of.
I haven't decided. I know for sure I want to get it done before SWAT so I can take it up there, but I don't know. We'll see. If it goes on the website and somebody offers me an enormous amount of money, I'll probably sell it. But I really like it. I don't think I'm anxious to sell it, at least not right now.
So double the price.
$50. $50.
Yeah, people always ask me how much you want for something. If it's something I really want to keep, I give them I don't want to sell it price. And you'd be surprised how many times I've had that price met.
I bet.
Yeah, I have had this.
Amen.
I've had the exact same experience. And then I've got another piece that I put all kinds of different prices on it, and nobody buys it. but it's
Yeah,
one of my
it's crazy.
favorite pieces. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who knows?
you
It's
never know.
it's a fickle business, man.
It is indeed.
Yep.
That's a great piece. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no, where'd she go? There she goes. So Brenda's next.
She is.
Is Bob Grinstead here yet?
I haven't seen him.
No, he's
Yeah.
not.
You could show
Yeah,
your piece
I wanna
anyway.
All right. I got another mirror. And look at
Wow.
the picture. Yeah.
That's
This is
With
another one
Alex.
of the segmented piece that Bob Grinstead told me the measurements, and I got them wrong before. It's supposed to be 2.09 from here to here. And the first one I did 2.90.
Right.
So I got a big one,
Yeah.
So this one I did measure right. And it's supposed to have 15-degree curves. And it's supposed to only been 12 pieces, but it took me 13 pieces to make a circle. And he also suggested not rounding off the outside of it. And I like that. I like the way that
I
turned
do
out.
too. It looks good.
That's really
So,
pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I liked
that's
it.
good, Brenda.
Good job.
Nice.
So-
What wood you got there?
Is that a picture of Alex?
Yeah, that's Alex Snodgrass,
Okay, that's what I
cover
thought.
of Woodcraft
Woodcraft.
magazine. Yep. We got Paducah. Yeah, I'll think about it in a minute. Purple Heart and the one piece of black walnut.
It's a nice job. Nice job.
It looks great.
Turn
Poplar.
around the back. Look, show us the back. Okay, so it was your ring, and you got those fasteners that we all talked about.
Yes, and I can barely get them things to go in.
All
That's
it
nice.
takes.
Nice job.
Thanks.
But they're
Don't need to
holding
go
in,
far.
so. Yep, so we got, what I say was Osage, Poplar, Purple Heart, and Wingate. That's the other one.
Paducah, not Osage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Paducah, yeah. I'm brain dead today. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Pretty.
Looks
Real
great.
good.
I get it.
Wow. Very good, Brenda.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Beautiful.
Very nice, Brenda.
Well, can I ask you a question? Okay, did you glue up, say, 2 pieces at a time? Did you glue up the whole circle at a time?
I glued up the whole circle.
Uh-huh.
And actually, something happened. I feel if it was when I was putting these in, it fell apart. I glued these things back together 3 times. I used wood glue and a pipe clamp.
Uh-huh.
And that's it.
That's nice. You did a nice job.
Oh, I know what it was when I put it on the coal jaws and pulled it. It came apart. So I had to do it a couple times.
That's what the whole problem was before.
Yeah, I've been redoing a lot of things. My handheld mirrors.
Project.
My handheld mirrors. I put them in bubble wrap. Put them in a tub. Pulled a couple of them out the other day to look at them, and two of the mirrors were cracked.
Wood moved.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went out and hammered the mirror out of them, and that took forever. I used wood glue, hammered them things out. I still could not get all the glass out of them. I had to put them back on the lathe and turn the glass out of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it
was
so
a mess.
you glued the mirror in?
Yeah.
How
And then
many
there was
years of bad luck do you have?
Well, there was 2 of them I had to take out because I had lasered pictures in them. And when I glued them to the mirror, you could see the glue. So it messed up the picture really bad.
So why did you put them in the water? Didn't you put the mirror in there the same way you just showed us the picture? Didn't you put the mirror in there the same way?
Yeah, only this part was all flat.
I'm saying in the back. So
Turn it this way, put the groove
put it
in.
no, I'm saying, so why put it in the water? What would be the reason? If you had the mirror with those clamps in it, did you have the mirror with those clamps all in it the same way? Did you
No, I didn't
install
use
the
the
mirror
clamps.
the
I
same way?
glued it.
Yeah, don't glue it. It doesn't give the wood movement.
I don't think she was referring to a tub as a tub. I think it was more like a plastic bin, wasn't it? You didn't put it in a
Yeah,
tub of
yeah, I
water,
had them in a
did you?
plastic. I never put them in water.
That's what I think they were thinking you put it in a tub.
Oh no, no, I had them.
What I thought.
I had them packed away in a tub of
asking why.
plastic tub, tote.
There you go.
Okay. But to fix the picture problem, when I lasered the picture on the mirror, right,
Yeah.
and then I glued it, it messed up the mirror. So those I had to redo, and I spray painted the back of the picture, then the mirror, and then glued it in. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Whenever
Yeah,
you're
so
talking wood movement, you never put a bead of glue around that like that. You could tack it in 4 places or just 2 places. And then
Well, what I did is I just put like a circle of glue in here and then put the mirror on it and spun it like that. And so it wasn't a bead around it.
Your best bet would be to use silicone because silicone will move.
Right.
Okay.
Glue.
Yeah.
Glue.
Yeah.
The
It's not gonna move.
what is that? What is that? 6,000? That glue? That 6,000 glue?
E6000.
E6000.
Yeah, the E6000. One of them I used the E6000. And I don't know which one of them came apart, but I think it was all the wood glue.
Mm-hmm.
They're done now. So, but that's
Very
what I
insightful.
got.
Well, you did
Very
a
nice,
job.
Brenda.
Really nice, for sure.
Thank you.
All right. Well, next up is Patrick.
Okay, I've got a piece of walnut that I did a 4-axis turn. It's got a twist to it.
Oh my.
There you go. Very cool.
that looks
Yeah, very cool.
That's cool. That's cool.
What kind of wood?
It's walnut, and ebonized it with iron acetate, and then put
Okay.
5 coats of true oil gunstock finish on it.
Cool.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
But
So-
I never got over 350 RPM turning it because it was so off balance.
Mm-hmm.
Where your hands? Show us the pedestal. Okay. So okay.
nice.
So you went back to center for the pedestal, or you
Yes.
did the
Yes,
So
I turned this off center,
right,
and
And
then I
then
put
went
it back on center to turn the pedestal on it.
and then you what did you drill through it as you were on center? I mean, is it hollow? I
Yeah.
didn't notice. Oh no, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I saw a divot there. Yes. So that was all done on center.
Yeah,
Yes.
the hollowing was done on center. I put it back on center and turned the pedestal and put a tenon on the base and hollowed it out.
Right.
Very nice, Patrick.
That's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I love that
Super.
twist you got in there. It's beautiful.
Well, it is.
Yeah, the worst part of turning it was I couldn't get over about 350 RPM because it was so out of balance.
Right.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Well done, Patrick.
Thank you.
That
That's
really
all
is.
I got.
All right. All right. Well, it's the top of the hour. let's go and get our safety moment, and then we're going to get into our demo for this evening. So let's spin back to Safety Sue.
Hi there, guys.
Sue?
Howdy, howdy.
Well, tonight we're going to talk about bandsaws. How many people have cut their hands on a bandsaw? Raise your hand. Okay.
Never.
Well, good for you. The first
Never,
time
never.
when I was
It was the table saw for me.
Yeah.
Oh, table saw. Ouch.
Table saw for me. Ouch.
Yep. Well, you know what happens is that the blade on the bandsaw isn't coming at you. It's constantly going in a circle. And a lot of people tend to be a little complacent because the blade's not moving towards you. You're moving towards the blade. There was a famous furniture maker, Sam something. He lived in California. Anyways, he cut a couple of fingers off. And he said that he cut the fingers off, not because he was cutting wood. He was cleaning up the place and accidentally hit the on button for the motor, and zip, there went his fingers.
Oh, wow.
So, and another guy I know, he took the tip of 2 fingers off because his grandkids were playing, and I guess they called him and he looked. And when he looked, that was gone. So we need to be cognizant that you don't want any distractions when you're using the bandsaw. Yes, the bandsaw is not moving towards you. You are moving towards the bandsaw. So you should have more control. The first time I cut my hands was I was truing up the bed so that I could use the miter slots. And I turned off the lathe, not thinking that I don't have an instant break. And I reached down to the bottom to see where it was hitting. And yeah, I backed up really quick when it started hitting flesh. That one was okay. The other one, as you recall, a year or 2 ago, I hit the bandsaw when I hit a catch in a piece of rock maple and cut 2 of my fingers pretty badly. And but I dare you to tell me where I cut. So yeah, right now everything is wrinkly, so you can't tell the scars. So anyways, let's talk about the bandsaw. 1, keep your hands away from the blade. Use push sticks, or once you get it to a certain point, pull it from the other side. Don't try to get your hand so close to that blade that if you slip, you're going to be in trouble. It only takes a millisecond to hurt. Use a push stick when you move pieces from between the fence and saw blade. I've seen some places, some people use long pencils with erasers because the erasers actually stay put. So that's an option, but make yourself some push sticks for your bandsaw. Make a relief when you're doing curves. I was doing what I called the boomer edition, the baby boomer edition of an Adirondack chair, one that we could actually sit in and get out of. And there was a lot of curves involved. And yes, I did use relief cuts. And what that is that you don't want to, if you've got a 1/4 inch blade, you can only go so far with your turns, less with a 3/8 and even less with a 1/2 inch. So you're better off doing relief cuts up to the inside of the curve so that when you're cutting, those relief cuts come off so that you can go easier in them. You need to stop cutting. If you need to stop cutting, hold the material firmly and shut the saw. The material is not going to go back at you, but you can stop the saw. It's not going to do anything. And then when you're ready to continue the cut, you can turn it back on. It's not going to give you a little extra edge in your cut. It still will be good. Provide extra lighting. Well, that's given no matter what machine you use. Don't play with it in the dark. Bandsaws do give a lot of dust. Make sure you have dust extraction and wear a face mask. And for heaven's sakes, wear your ear guards. Do not, oh, here's a good one. Don't try to stop the bandsaw if you don't have a brake by pushing another piece of wood against the bandsaw blade. Bandsaw blades can break. Remember, they're welded together. So folks, don't do that. Do not remove sawdust or cuttings from the table of the bandsaw with compressed air. Use a stick or brush. Okay? Don't ask me why, but that's part of the safety things. Don't use an air for your brush in there, for your brushing off your dust inside that. You know, brush it off, clean it off, but don't push air inside there. Never leave your saw running unattended. Well, even I know that sounds like it's common, but some people don't have common sense. So if you're not there, turn it off. Again, use dust collection. Anything else? Obviously, don't use excessive force. If the blade's not cutting, it could be that your blade is dull. Time to change the blade. All kinds of stuff. Don't force any of your power tools. So this week, guys, especially, and girls, especially around the bandsaws, please be careful. And I hope you stay safe this week, because I'd love to see you next week. Take care, baby.
Right on. Thank you, Sue.
Yep.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Let's go to JJ.
All righty. First of all, I need to apologize. Only 2 of my 3 cameras are working, so you don't get to see my lovely face. Maybe that's not an apology. I'll show a little gallery first. First is a walnut ring box. This is a little piece of crotch wood. There was a big knot right about here. Turn this light off so you get to see that lovely grain. And
Very
just
pretty. The
really
inside
nice.
really phenomenal with the.
Now this is end grain. This is a separate piece. I had the whole box was made of the whole piece, and I dropped it and I broke the bottom. Now this one is a French fit. It's too loose. But this one is not. This is red Coolaba burl, and this is just a little cut off of a piece that was about 12 inches long, and I'm saving the other half for project. This one, can you hear it?
Yep.
Yep.
That one is not a French fit. And
Beautiful.
this just turned out, this is such a lovely little piece of wood. And
Nice job.
I had to go back to work, and I'm doing manufacturing plastic motorcycle parts, and I needed to get in my shop. And so Friday afternoon, after my first week of work, I got in my shop and said, I need to make something beautiful. And here it is. So that's what's been on. And I'm going to show you, one more thing that's been on my lathe, plural. This has been an ongoing project, and it almost failed. This is an urn. A lady contacted me who's been a follower of mine on social media for a few years. And unfortunately, she's been diagnosed with an inoperable brain cancer. And she wanted something beautiful for her husband to have. her remains in. Now, I am not finishing the outside of this urn. It's going over to Shock's Functional Art. He's my friend who does fractal burning, and he's going to fractal burn it, inlay the burns with glow in the dark resin, and then do a resin
Oh,
coat.
wow.
So I had a failure. The original bottom two layers, this is from one board. The original bottom two layers shattered on me as I was working on the top on this part here. It was too much torque because I've hollowed it in stages. It was too much torque and the bottom two shattered. I was able to salvage this whole part of the urn. The whole body of the urn was okay. So I was able to salvage it. Actually, from here to here was okay. I salvaged it, flattened off the break and hollowed a new bottom and put it on. But I back hollowed from this end. I back hollowed the top and got that all shaped and put together. I've got my bronze rings glued in. All I have to do is turn the lid and do some finish sanding. And then this is going to Shock's Art on Saturday or Sunday. And I will share finished pictures of it, but I don't get to finish it. So we're going to have to wait for that. So,
Nice.
and this is 300 cubic inches, 20 cups. It's a monster. So that's the work that has been on my Delta for weeks. It's been a lot of work. Okay, I hope everybody brought their popcorn because you're going to need popcorn
Joaquin,
for this project.
Joaquin,
Yes, sir.
Real quick. So I'm going to mute everybody. If you want to solicit questions for your demo, that's fine. But otherwise, folks, it's Joaquin's demo. Let him go through his motions and his processes of what he's turning. Keep comments and questions till the end, and then we'll be able to answer them and ask them at that time. So I'm going to mute everybody now. Unmute yourself, Joaquin.
All right.
I got you.
There we go. Okay. I hope everybody brought your popcorn. You're going to need it. I hope you didn't pop it. You need the seeds. What we're going to do is my little baby rattle project. It's not very difficult. It's a fun little project. So usually start with a 2x2 or 3x3 by 6-ish piece of wood. And remember, this is for a baby. So that's about the width of a baby's hand, not this big club. So remember that you really only need about 2 inches of actual rattle body and 2 or 3 inches of handle. So you have plenty of room to play with. I have no idea what this piece of wood is. It came to me in a box with a lot of other wood from a certain character we all know named Mark Soleil. So no clue what that is, but we're just going to find a rough center. You can eyeball that. It's up to you how you deal with the center. I love this little center finder. I think it cost me $3.25 at Klingspor, and this probably the best thing you can buy for your shop under $4 is this little center finder. Especially from a piece like this that is not square, obviously go from all 4 corners, and that gives you an average of what your center is. Works on a round piece or a almost square piece. And then just use some kind of a center punch. I made this little awl by driving a 16 penny nail into a piece of camphor burl from a project, and then I just sharpened the head off of the nail and made myself a little punch. And I'm going to put my tenon on this side. I may not necessarily put a tenon on it. I may leave it sort of square and just grab it with the jaws of my chuck. We'll see. But this is going to end up in a chuck. We'll start between centers. This is all spindle orientation, so we will use spindle tools, except Mr. Soleil will tell you, as will Richard Raffin, rough with your bowl gouge. Why? Because if you use your bowl gouge, you can send the shavings that away while you're roughing, rather than shooting them straight in your own face. That's a step center. So if I push a little hard, it'll spin. One thing I like about using a step center is it forces me to pay attention to how much force I'm using and use less and let the tool do the job. I'm going to be upset with myself, I think. I think this is a piece of hawthorn. But you know what? It'll make a beautiful baby rattle, so I guess it'll be okay. I usually like to use hawthorn for things like candlesticks or finials because it's so white, very bright. All right, we're just about round on most of it. Feels good. Yeah, I think that's hawthorn. It's pretty. And we may not need to do much in the way of a tenon. I think we can just grab it. So really what we're going to do here is make a sphere and a little spindle, just a little spindle. Let me flatten off this edge so that we have a nice square seat to get into the chuck. It's about exactly the size of the chuck jaw, so I don't think I can put a dovetail on it, but we'll be all right. We definitely want to have nice square flat bottom. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone on silent. How rude of me.
No, we didn't hear it.
Oh, well, good. Nothing to see here. Nothing happened, folks. Okay, so we're going to get this into a chuck. And first, we're going to throw it on the floor, which happens in my shop at least 3 times per project. And then we'll get it in the chuck. So if you're unfamiliar with the steb center, I really like the design because if you push too hard, it's meant to slip in the wood, and that helps prevent catches because you don't have these big chunky wedges that want to force the wood to keep turning. This will just slip. So it really does guide your guide the cuts, how much you're pushing on your tool, because you shouldn't be pushing on the tool. You should let the wood come to the tool and let the tool do the work, and that really makes it so you have to. It kind of forces you to do that. If you have a chuck, or if you have a spindle that has a flattened section at the bottom of the threads so that you can set a grub screw, do it. Use that grub screw. That is a safety feature, and that helps, especially if you're turning something heavy, so that that doesn't screw back on you when you stop the lathe. If you have a lot of inertia, that lathe can actually screw back on you. Okay, we have a tight fit. So we're going to get our, you're not supposed to bottom your piece out in the chuck, however, because that's just about exactly the width of the chuck. In order to make sure that I do have a good square fit, I have to. So this is poor practice, but this piece of wood was just barely big enough. And that is an exact fit in my chuck. Back that off and make sure, yeah, that's not going to go anywhere. So pushing the limit there, but that's okay. It's going to work just fine. And there are so many ways to do this. It's not even funny. I'm going to use the skew because I seem to be having a good skew evening. But first I'm going to touch up my skew. So I use diamond card. This is 400 grit. And I'll just follow it, that curve, very lightly. I don't really get terribly involved with that because I like to use a leather strop. So this is a strop block. It's just a piece of wood with the suede side of the leather up, glued on it. And this is just stropping compound. These are inexpensive. You can get them a lot of places. So I go about 20 times on each side. And you'll notice because I have that curved grind, similar to Allen Lacers, I'm rocking back and forth so that I get the entire surface of the curve as I draw that strop. And that's going to give me an absolutely, literally razor sharp blade. This little scar right there, I was grabbing a tool rest from the lower level of my little tool shelf and I just bumped my skew, sliced me wide open. It's sharp. So we're going to start out with some peeling cuts. Let's take down some diameter so that we can start working out some shape. And again, this is a baby rattle, and I like to sell these as heirlooms. However, they're playable, they're usable. So we want to make sure that we make something that's both beautiful and durable. I prefer to use hardwoods. The most recent one, the one that I showed y'all, and Dane said we need a demo, was elm, spalted elm. And that one is a stunning piece. And the grandfather who purchased it was very, very pleased with it. So we're going to start work out some dimensions here, and we'll be slightly scientific. We're going to round that just a tiny bit more. But we will be slightly scientific with our layout of the ball. And we are going to leave our handle intentionally long. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this down. To about 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more than 1/2 inch, maybe 5/8. I'm going to leave a nice square shoulder so that this will mount in the pin jaws on the chuck. And now, like I said, we're going to be a little bit scientific about how we do this. Keeping in mind that we are going to have to join the handle with the ball. So we're going to measure our diameter. That'll be the outside diameter of our little rattle, but it will also give us our height. And we are about 1/2. Okay. It's not bad. That's pretty good size. So we want to draw lines. On either side of what's going to be the ball or the sphere of the rattle. We want to leave ourselves room for a way for the handle to attach to the rattle. Then we're going to divide that roughly in half. You can eyeball it, you can measure it. I have a tendency to eyeball it. That's just what I do. But if you want to be exact, you most certainly can do the math. Math hurts my brain, so I eyeball it. And typical sphere formation, except we are going to hollow this, so we don't want to get too far in our backside. We can go about to half of the width of what the top of the sphere will be, but we don't want to go much past that because hollowing is going to create some torque, and we certainly don't want to break that sphere off while we're hollowing it. So don't get too excited about the left side. Give it a basic shape, but you definitely can come around and get your right side, your tailstock side, turned down to a sphere for the most part. V cut first. And again, we need to leave this tenon and this shoulder here, but we can work on bringing our handle down a little bit more. And we want to leave a bit of a shoulder. So we're just very roughly cutting this. We'll start working on the shape of our sphere a little bit. Just so that we can start to get a bit of a view of the shape. And then we're going to come in with a fairly narrow parting tool off of the end of the ball of the sphere. Ooh. This is a little shop-made parting tool, and it has no burr. We'll just real quickly with our little diamond card, touch that up. We will real quickly with the sharpener, touch that up. I was using this on the resin project that I've got going, and that resin is very, very hard, and that ate that whole cutting edge of that pretty badly. If you play with resin, you know certain resins can really be rough on tools. Now, when you're parting, you want to go wider than your tool by a bit so that your tool doesn't bind up. But what I'm also going to do is be a little bit scientific again. I'm going to set my caliper for 3/4 of an inch because I want to leave a 3/4 inch tenon on my handle. So I want to get this down to 3/4 of an inch, and then we're going to use a thinner parting tool to part it the rest of the way. Right about there. And the reason I want 3/4 of an inch is because I need to be able to get my 1/2 inch scraper into the bottom of the bowl. So I need at least 1/8 of an inch left over on either side. So this is my little shop made narrow curve or thin curve parting tool. It is a Sawzall blade that I just took to the sharpening system and shaped. Rock it back and forth so that you get that cut wider. Get down close. Be very careful if you do that with the Sawzall blade. Those are flexible and they will bind. So you really have to pay attention when you're using that tool. Do not push it too hard. It will bite you. And I usually like to finish with my little Japanese pull saw so things don't go flying. Set that aside, double check, make sure you've got your 3/4 inch tenon, which we do, just absolutely perfect, which is what we want. Set that aside and we can work on our little sphere a little bit more. So I was using the skew, but you can also use your 3/8 inch spindle gouge with the signature Marc Soleil swept back grind. Now, remembering that this is going to be a baby rattle and that I am going to hollow it, I want to break the sphere and give myself some kind of a foot or a joint where the handle can come in. So I'm going to stop before I really make this spherical. I'm going to make myself a bead. And this is going to do two things. First of all, it's going to give me a place to make the hole to hollow, but it's also going to help disguise the joint so that we can, using that ball-to-ball construction that Marc teaches, we can make it so that you can't quite tell exactly where the seam is. That also helps prevent little fingers from digging at and prying into and managing to find a way to separate the handle from the body of the rattle. If you make lidded boxes, this is in essence a very, very small box. Just come back, and again, we only want to go about halfway the shape of our sphere. And it doesn't have to be spherical. It needs to be round. This little point here, that will get softened. It doesn't have to be a perfect sphere. You can, in fact, this cracked, or this would be a rattle, and that's more of an oblong shape. But I rough turned that and put it in silica to try to dry, and it decided to crack in spite of all I did to try to dry it. So rough right now. We just want to get it to a point where we can hollow it. And we don't want to come all the way around here because we're going to use a lot of torque. We're going to create a lot of torque as we hollow, and we definitely don't want to break this off of there. Just work on our little lip there. Tiny bit of refinement on this shape. And we're going to start to think about hollowing. If, depending on your lathe, if you can, take your tailstock off so that you don't put your elbow into your 60-degree live center. That doesn't feel good. And if you have a newer 60-degree live center, it leaves scars. And we're going to hollow. Now, again, remember, we've got 3/4 inch. So we'll slow the lathe down and touching only the point that is closest to you.
Any chance you can zoom in, JJ?
Hang on a second. My compressor is charging. What was that?
Any chance you can zoom in?
That's his, yeah, give me a second. I have it set back for a larger piece. I don't
Much
think
better.
we're going to. There we go. All right, focus you. I'm working
it's
on getting
good.
better cameras, guys. These cameras are terrible, but they were cheap. Okay, so we're just going to touch this side. If you touch that side, it flips the tool up, and that's sharp, and it'll hurt you. Just touch that side. Slow your lathe way down. We're just going to touch that side. We're going to mark our 3/4 of an inch, and we may stay a little bit shy of it so we can sneak up on it, because we do want a friction fit. We want our handle to pop in and pop out. Ultimately, that's going to be glued, but while we're making it, it's not going to be glued. Okay, where did I, over here, set my gouge down. There's arguments either way. I could get my tailstock up here, get the Jacobs chuck, put in the 3/4 inch Forstner bit and drill this, or I can do the same thing.
Or you can turn it and be done with it.
Yeah, I can just turn it and be done. This is the drill and pull method. I like to call it the drill and push method. Take your gouge about 45 degrees angle, push it straight in, and then what I do, my left hand is a fulcrum. I push the handle of the tool away, which swings the tip outward. And voila. So I'm not going quite to my line, right? Because I need to have straight sides. So that my little tenon on my handle fits. So I'm not going to come all the way out, but I am removing a large amount of bulk on the inside of that. We'll stop, push the tip of the tool down, kind of get a little read on depth, and I can go about a 1/2 inch more, maybe 3/8 instead of a 1/2, which is about 3 more passes. It'll find the center on its own automatically. It'll just do it. Okay, we'll worry about the rest of that depth in a minute. So I still have my little 3/4 inch mark here. I can square that up multiple ways. Probably the easiest and safest way is just to come back with a 1/2 inch skew or a Steve Twiddell signature miniature skew, and just come in straight in, a nice light cut. What you're doing is lining this surface of the blade. Let me see, you might see this better overhead. What you're doing is lining this angle, that edge, with the bedway of your lathe and pushing straight in, and that should give you a perfectly square shoulder for that recess. We'll come back with our vernier caliper here. And we are just outside of our 3/4 of an inch, which is perfect, or just inside of it, which is perfect. Again, we want this to be a good, tight fit. So we will wait until we start fitting the lid, till we're ready to fit the lid. And it should be too big right now. I want to leave it too big while I'm doing all this stuff and all this work in here. I want to leave it too big, or too small, I should say, so that I can bring it out to make this friction fit. This won't get touched again. Once I clean this end off, I will never touch this part of the tenon. Once I have that friction fit, that's done. It's not going to be touched again. So I want to wait and do that kind of last, get this to fit this last. Now here I ran into a problem when I decided I was going to do small hollow forms. That problem being that the only tool I had to do hollowing was this big swan neck tool, and it's too big for something this small. So I got on the Zon and found the high-speed steel blanks, and I got this nice 2-inch wide, or 40 millimeter by 200 millimeter by 8 piece, and I carved myself a miniature swan neck tool. It's not perfect by any means, but it absolutely is functional. I've got a nice wide base. One of the things that I will do different the next time I make it is this cutting edge should be in line, either dead center with your tool or with the front edge of your tool. That helps to counter the torque. This is kind of half that splits the distance a little. I again had never done this before. I got up the grinding wheel and went to town, and this is what I came up with. So I would recommend, if you're going to make your own swan neck tool, change and make sure that your swan neck actually comes out as close to the outer edge, the inside or left edge, I guess you would say, of the tool as possible. And again, what that does is counter the torque of the spinning, or line it up dead center. The way this style swan neck works, where'd I put it? The way this style swan neck works is the cutting edge is aligned with the just to left of center of the actual shaft of the tool, which again counters that torque. So this works, it counters the torque, but think about that if you make your own. I will be doing another one redesigning it, but it has this wonderful Wenge handle and it works. So, and I'm just going to start just inside. Switch back just inside, and we're just going to work the upper quadrant here. And here you definitely need to stop frequently and check. And since my big meaty fingers are so big, that means I can just stick my pinky finger in there. And I've got down to roughly right here. And I can actually start working out more now because I have a good, at least a 1/8 of an inch, probably closer to 3/16 of an inch thickness, which is about the wall thickness I want, is about 3/16 of an inch. This needs to be able to take a good whack. It's for a baby. Babies bang things. So it needs to be able to take a good whack, but it also needs to stay light. So when they bang their sibling with it, they don't harm their sibling. I'm using Trent Bosch's hollowing method. You do the top section first, then you kind of split the difference with the middle. You work that section. You can feel the inside of the curve with the tip of your tool. And this little tool runs out of usefulness by about the middle, but it gets that inside edge. Come back, get our natural depth gauge in there. Ooh, wonderful. I've got good, I'm right inside the curve here. There's no way to show you on camera, but I've got my curve and it's traveling well. My depth, I'm at about half of the depth. So remember, I told you I needed this 3/4 of an inch wide so that I could get my 1/2 inch scraper in there. This is a wonderful crown scraper, 1/2 inch scraper that Steve Twidell sent me. And it's a great, if you don't have a 1/2 inch wide scraper, you owe it to yourself to get a 1/2 inch wide scraper. It's really useful. So I just want to come in and work. I'm going to make a drawing for you. Hang on just a second. Where are they? So that you can see what the inside of that feels like. Go back to overhead. Here we have our little ball, as it were. Now I've taught again. I drilled down the center with the tool. Then I cleared this section. Then I worked this section, and I've got it to right about here, so it's hollow. So I've got this sharp ridge here. Now I use that swan neck that came around. At this point, the swan neck can't get much deeper. However, I can come in at a very slight angle with that 1/2 inch scraper and work this edge away and work it back and work it back. And with about 4 or 5 cuts, maybe a little bit more, I can just slowly work this all down until I can push that scraper straight in and swing it and get a nice smooth surface on the bottom of this very small hollow form. If you think about this like a tiny vase or a tiny hollow form, that's exactly what you're doing. It's the exact same process, exact same steps, it's just smaller. So we're going to come in, we're going to aim for that corner. We're just going to start working it away. I tip that scraper up a little bit to get more of a shear action. And that's it. I felt the bottom. I can clear out a tiny bit more in this quadrant. Not much. That should do her. Beautiful. I have a nice, smooth, round surface in there, roughly 3/16 of an inch thick, consistent. That's all we need. It just needs to be hollow and it needs to be able to ring. So now we can work on fitting our little tenon so that we have a nice friction fit. So we'll bring our handle back. And I noticed something on this tenon. When I parted it, my parting tool lifted a little bit of edge here. So we can just come in very, very lightly with a skew, use it like a carving knife and just clean that edge off just a little bit. That's just got that little ridge off of there. So still too small, which is perfect. That's what we want. We're going to go ahead and come in with our Steve Twidell miniature skew chisel. And very lightly widen that. There we go. We have a friction fit, not finish. We have a friction fit. Now we can concern ourselves with the handle. While I put the pin jaws on, sorry, I would have my second chuck set up with pin jaws so that I don't have to change jaws. But it's holding a project, and you know, when you take a project out of the chuck, it never goes back in the same. So you got to sit through a jaw change. Sorry. But while I'm doing this, if anybody has any questions, I can take them at this time.
Is now when you put the popcorn in?
No, not quite yet. We're going to put the popcorn in to test it, and then we're going to put the popcorn in when we glue it. And I
Gotcha.
thought very hard about using CA just for the sake of it's a demo, but this is going to be a pretty little rattle. So I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to use Type Bond 3. So we'll test it without glue, and then we will glue it. But with the understanding, you have to wait until tomorrow for the glue to set. So once we put glue on it, no more testing it. But popcorn seeds. So the first one of these I made, which I gave to my friend Mick. He and his wife had a baby girl, and I didn't know what to use for the rattle. And I think it was you, Matt, who said popcorn seeds. When I showed you all
Yeah,
this.
I tried a bunch of different things, and popcorn actually works the best.
Well, I turned beads. I turned 5 or 6 little beads out of some, just a little chunk of maple, and I figured out that 3 sounded best inside my little rattle. And you said, well, just put popcorn seeds in there, and I went, well, holy cow! I could have done that all along, and it saved me a lot of time. So
yeah, and dried corn works pretty good too. If you've got dried corn, that works really good too. So it's nearly the same thing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, basically the same. It's just a different strain. Yeah. So I think I learned this in this group too. Put your jaws on, keep your screws loose, and then close your chuck before tightening the screws, and you will get a perfect fit. So this is the old style Nova G3 anniversary edition. My other one, the one that's holding the project, is a new style. If you have the choice of purchasing the new style over the old style, it has a couple of upgrades. One being that it is true lefty loosey, righty tighty, which this one is not. This one is righty loosey, lefty tighty, because it was sold as an expanding jaw. So to tighten it, you want the jaws to open if you're selling an expanding jaw chuck. I was watching a Jimmy Clues demo on YouTube, and he explained that he was visiting a club doing a bowl turning demonstration, and they all had Nova G3s, and he didn't realize it. And he went through and loosened everybody's chuck because he was tightening their, making sure they were tight. And he turned them right to tighten them, or left to tighten them down on tenons, and he inadvertently opened them. So jaws loose. So as you can see, I'm turning it counterclockwise to tighten the jaws, which is counterintuitive for most turners in this day and age. Tighten these.
Yeah, mine
down.
are old school. They're like at second nature.
Lefty loosey, righty tighty.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have no problems going between it or my Vicmar, which is, the standard direction. I don't miss a beat. I just know automatically, Nova.
Yeah, I know by
tighten.
the patina on the jaws which one I have and which way I have to turn it.
Yeah.
But if they were both shiny, I would mess it up all the time. So just
acetone would clean that right up.
Yeah, no thanks. I leave it that way on purpose. I can tell which one it is. All right, so we got our pin jaws. Here's our handle with our little tenon on it. I probably could have taken that down a little bit more, but it's fine. What's important is this piece, this shoulder here is square, and these are square. So as long as you can set that on that shoulder, it really, the rest is gravy. It doesn't matter. As long as that's square on that shoulder, that's going to be dead straight. So remember, I gave a little bit of a ball shape here, and that's going to be so that we can kind of disguise our joint. You're not going to be able to really tell where the two meet. So we want to round this shoulder as well to give us that ball to ball construction and prevent a place where little fingers can get in and pry. If it's smooth and round, it makes it harder for those mischievous little fingers to take it apart. So we'll come back with the spindle gouge. 3/8 spindle gouge. Whoop. I knocked it askew a little bit. You can see where it's riding up. Check that. Make sure you get that in there dead on. Should be there. If it's a tiny bit off, as long as I don't touch this tenon, it doesn't matter. I just can't mess with this tenon or I'll lose my friction fit and I'll have to start all over again with the fit, which we can do. we might, we'll just not touch the tenon, but it'll be fine. So we're just going to round this, and it certainly can be a lot smaller. Let's see if I can bring you guys in. And I'm sorry, this camera doesn't like to focus. Again, I'm working on improving that. So we're just going to bring that around. And again, we need to remember we are aiming for little fingers, not big clubs. So we want to turn this down pretty thin. And then I usually like to put some kind of a swell or ball at the bottom end of the handle. Because again, this is a baby's hand, there's a baby holding it, and they're swinging it around, they're bonking their brothers and sisters with it. But you want something to catch in the bottom of the hand so that it doesn't just swoop right out. So we'll form kind of a swell down here. Something for the baby's hand to catch on so that it doesn't just go flinging. Make sure we got nice, smooth, not bad. That feels pretty good. We'll do a little bit of sanding. Now, again, I'm using Mr. Soleil's slicing technique, so I have a very nice, clean finish on here. So we can start sanding at 240 grit. Really won't take very long because we're not sanding a whole lot because this thing's tiny. So slow your lathe down. Again, I'm not worried about the fact that that's not perfectly aligned. Nobody will ever see it. That ball-to-ball construction will hide that joint very well. If it does bother you, it's easy to return that down to your 3/4 of an inch. So this is spindle orientation. So come back and sand with the grain, and that'll help disguise any of your little circular sanding scrapes from the paper as it's turning around. Wow, that feels nice. It's a nice finish already. We haven't even gotten to the finishing part. 320. And yes, I'm disappointed in myself. This is Hawthorne. I wish I'd recognized that when it was raw and saved it, but that's okay. It's going to be pretty.
Even a demo piece should be a final project.
It's almost like porcelain. It's so bright white. It's just pretty and it's very smooth. This wood finished feels like plastic. It's so smooth. It's really nice wood. It's not something I get my hands on. In fact, the only 2 pieces of hawthorn I've turned are from Mark Soleil. They were in a box that Mark gave me.
You find it's whiter than holly?
I think it's as white as holly. I think they're interchangeable to me, but I'm a colorblind Mexican, so do with that what you will. I like what I like is it's got a very nice closed grain, so it really shines well. If you want it glossy, you're going to get a lot of gloss out of this. So that's 400 grit. And another thing to remember is that little hands need some bit of something to catch on, to hang on to. And if you make this any smoother than it already is, which is probably too smooth, it's going to go flying a lot just because it's slick and they're not going to be able to keep their hands on it. So I'm not going to sand it anymore. That's a really, really nice finish. And again, we'll make sure we have our friction. I need to clean that. I need to take that down just a skosh. Check that and make sure that we're going to have our friction jam. So we're going to clean that up just a tiny bit. The very slightest of bits, we'll use our mini skew. And we're going to kind of give it a little bit of a chamfer, I think, just to try and make sure that we make sure that we have a jam. I don't think I need to take any more than, I don't think I want to take any more off of that. Oh, still have a tiny bit. That should do it. There we go. That's going to give us our friction fit. That's what we want. Go back to the 1/2 inch to part this. That mini skew is great for little tiny touch-ups, but I'm not adept enough with it to do something like finish a parting cut. So I choose not to. I choose safety. So close. There we go. And I learned this from a Cindy Drosta demonstration. A little knob right here on the end. You just sand across it. That goes away almost immediately. So there is our little handle for our tiny rattle. All we have to do is finish the outside shape of this rattle and put the popcorn in it and see how it sounds. So again, apologies, but we're going to have to go through a jaw change. If I had a bigger, if I'd used a 3x3 piece, I could have kept a tenon that fit the larger jaws on both ends. And we would have just swapped it out in the jaws. So that's another thing to think of if you don't want to do extra steps or you don't have a second chuck lying around that you can do the pin jaws on is put your tenon for your larger jaws. Those are 60 mil. Put your 60 mil tenon on both ends and you can just swap it around in the same chuck. Or you can jam it. There's so many different ways to hold this little piece. Sorry, I'm lining up the numbers. The one thing I like about also about the new version of the Nova G3 is it doesn't have numbers on the chuck itself, just the jaws. You align the jaws, and so you're not trying to make sure you have number one pointing in the right direction. You don't have to worry about it as long as you have the jaws in succession. So just something to think about if you're buying, like if somebody's selling all their old chucks and have a bunch of old G3s, think about that. It's not bad. It's just kind of a pain sometimes, especially if you're in a hurry, like you're doing a demonstration and you were a knucklehead and didn't have your other chuck free. So something to think about. Again, same thing. Do not tighten the screws down. Just get them in there and then tighten the jaws down and tighten the screws. And that makes a difference. I have discovered it makes a huge difference in instances where I was finding that I had just a little bit of discrepancy in alignment disappeared when I started making sure that I tightened my jaws down this way. I can't remember who taught us that, what demo it was, but that was a huge game-changing tip for me.
Yeah, tips and tricks. 6 months ago, touched on it.
Yeah, that was a game changer for me. It really does make a huge difference in alignment.
Yeah, it's imperative you do it like that.
And what's funny is I'm not one of those people who reads the entire manual. I don't. I'm terrible. I go to the manual when I can't figure it out. The manual does describe it, especially the new one. The new one actually makes it really. I went and checked the new G3 manual and I'm like, oh, there it is. It says right there. And it actually describes it a lot better than in the old one. It says it in the old one, but not the same way. And I was like, well, gee, would have paid if I'd read that manual. I only check the manual if it's not working because then I'm like, well, I did something wrong. I just better check the manual. I'm awful.
Right. Well, they were going to use Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd to explain how to do it in the new manual, but they didn't have enough room for it. So yeah, they explain it better. You know,
they should have had Bozo the Clown explain it. So anyway, that guarantees you have perfect jaw alignment. So I think that's a very cool, very useful tip. And it actually gets us better chance to get that in there the same way it was. It's going to be close. It's never quite perfect when you take the piece out of the chuck and put it back in. It just isn't. That's just the way wood is. But this gets you a lot closer. So, and in this case, we bottomed it out, which you're not supposed to do, but that kind of gives us a little bit of an edge too. So let's see. Not bad. Definitely workable. So all we need to do is smooth this surface a little bit, just round this out a little. I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques. Actually, I'm going to show you a technique I stole from Steve Twaddell again. He's a good character. He knows some cool tricks. Took an old Savannah bowl scraper and lopped off the end and made a true square end scraper. And you can really get a nice smooth surface. Clean up any of those tool marks or a little bit of faceting. Very light. I like to kind of take it at a little bit of an angle downward, so you might raise your tool rest a little so that that burr catches. The only thing I don't like is that this is a Savannah tool, which are very inexpensive because although it is high-speed steel, it's cheap high-speed steel. It's soft. But that's why I like making experimental tools with it, because it's cheap. So rather than ruin a $70 scraper, I ruined a $12 or $13 scraper. So let's just smooth that up a little bit. We'll come back with our spindle gouge and finish the bottom of our little sphere. Come back here. Cut away some so that our tool has a place to go. And just because we don't want to join the funnel club tonight, we're going to come in with an actual depth gauge and make sure that our eyeball yep, dead on. We're good to go. So I eyeballed that using my spindle gouge and my thumb, and I'm on, so I can finish out that shape. Before we get too excited and get too close, though, we need to sand the bulk of this. So we're going to take about 2 more passes, and then we're going to sand this up real quick. When you're coming around this curve, you've got to remember to swing your tool handle in order to keep that cutting edge in contact and keep cutting. You don't move the tool handle fast enough, you're going to actually lift up out of the cut like that. So you need to make sure you get that tool handle swinging fast enough to get you around that corner. We have a little bit of a weirdness here. You really have to make sure that you swing your body, shift your body weight so that you can swing that tool and get that to come up around that corner. There we go. That'll let us sand real quick. And we have a little discrepancy, but that'll sand right out. In fact, we'll start at 180 to get that little weirdness out. So a rule of thumb that I have developed for myself when sanding is if I think I can get away with it at 240 grit, I start at 180. That way, I catch all the little weirdness, little torn grains or little something. If I step 1 grit down from what I think I can get away with, I almost always find that I'll never have any odd stray marks. And again, since this is going to be in a baby's hands, get your fingers in there and make sure you feel and you don't find anything sharp. You don't want any sharp surfaces of any kind. That feels really good. We'll go ahead and go with the grain. I wish these cameras were good enough that you could see the grain pattern. It's just, this is a really pretty little piece of wood. We'll go with the grain. Get all those little circular scratches out. And as Mr. Burt says, spend your time at your lower grit. And you take a lot less time at your higher grits. Sage advice. Go. Okay. 240, 320, and 400. And those will go very quickly. Because at this point, we did any of the major work with 180 grit. So all we're doing at each successive grit is removing marks from the prior grit. Wow. I wish you guys could get the, I don't know if I can. There's no way for me to get this camera to you can see the rings. It's really pretty.
You should throw
I
some
will get
dye
some-
on it.
Yeah. The only dye I have is black.
It'll bring out the rings, sand it back.
Yep. Yeah.
You're sanding
it might.
anyhow.
It might. Let's try it. Let's touch this with a little.
Yeah, let's do it.
I use vegetable based leather dye, which is safe. You could drink this stuff. I don't know why you would, but you could. It wouldn't hurt you. Now let's see if we can get some of these rings to come out so you guys can see it. Because boy, is this a pretty piece of wood. I think it might make it too dark. Not on this camera. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get good pictures of this because, guys, this is some pretty wood. This is really, really beautiful. I'll have to get some good pictures of it. It's not going to bring it out at all. That's going to take the good camera on my phone, which is better than any other camera I own. Oh, we get that dye out of there. But this is actually a really, really very expressive piece of wood. There's some really cool grain pattern in here. Oh, maybe. Focus. Oh, it's not going to do it.
Trying to pop through.
Hmm?
Trying to pop through.
Yeah, it's focus more than anything. It's getting this camera to focus.
It is focused on the floor.
I can't see what I see. What I see on the screen, it's fuzzy as can be. All right, did we get it? Almost. You see that?
Now it looks like it's focusing on the shavings under your lathe. The stuff
Yeah.
on the floor is really focused. But the stuff on your piece on the lathe isn't really focusing.
Yeah, it's these cheapo cameras. Okay, so obviously we get to get the sanding done, but we're gonna step ahead here just for the time's sake. And we're gonna go ahead and part this off. We'll go back to the 1/2 inch skew chisel. We just hit the dew point. My face shield is fogging on me. There we go. So again, little cross screen here. And that cleans up very quickly. Won't really bore you with that. Because it's time to get out your popcorn.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Popcorn.
on the comments on the post today on the Facebook page, I told everybody to bring their popcorn. This is a very small rattle, probably 2 tablespoons. Yeah, maybe a tablespoon and a half volume in there. It's not very big. So we probably only want 8 or 10 kernels. A bigger ball, you put more in. That should probably give us enough. So that's the magic secret right there, thanks to Mr. Harbor. And there you get your little baby rattle. Can you hear that?
Yep.
So from here, that's a good friction fit. I just take a pinky finger. Where is it? Where'd I put it? Ah, there it is.
It's right beside your ring finger.
No, I was looking for the Type Bond 3. I use Type Bond 3. It's the most water resistant. It dries the hardest. Type Bond 2 has a little bit of flexibility to it. I've never even tried Type Bond 1. Everybody that I've ever worked with has always gone straight to the Type Bond 3 and said, this is the stuff you need to use. So doesn't take a lot, but you want to make sure you get good thorough coverage. Put your little friction fit together. Find a place to stand it upright so it can dry and let it dry overnight. And you have, with the exception of finishing a little bit of work, you have a baby rattle. And it's that simple, and it's really not a very long project. It probably took me more time changing chuck jaws than actual turning. It's not, you can bang one of these out in about 35 minutes if you're just turning. They're pretty quick and easy, and they sound good. The bigger, now you can play with different woods and things. This is a very dense wood, so it's going to be very soft and quiet. Cherry is dense, but not as dense as this. It will have more of a ring to it. Walnut makes a really good sounding rattle. The canary wood one I made sounded really good. What do they use in guitars? They use a lot of cedar for guitars because it rings. Cedar would be a good wood to use for this. Any of the musical woods. And somebody said, hey, make that about 3 times the size and you've got maracas. And yeah, you do. So there's another use, but this is little tiny guy size, baby newborn size, and it's light enough. This weighs less than an ounce, that if it does get flung across the room at a sibling, it's not going to do any damage. Let's talk about finish real quick. One way you could go, and it's certainly valid, is to do a CA glue finish. And the reason you can do that, and I would consider that safe, is because cyanoacrylate is literally liquefied acrylic, and when it cures, it becomes completely neutral. It's inert. So it is considered food safe. CA finish is a pretty good finish. I prefer natural finishes. I use tongue honey from Brad's Workbench, and that is pure tongue oil, not polymerized tongue oil, beeswax, and carnauba wax, all of which are food safe. It takes about 3 weeks for pure tongue oil to cure. So you don't want to give this to a little guy until it's had about 3 or 4 weeks to just do its thing. But I'm currently using a coffee cup that I made out of cherry. to drink water from at work, and it it's water resistant. Good, clear, clean water. Doesn't taste funky or anything. And I use that Brad's Workbench on it, and it's working great. Any questions?
Does your
Well,
cherry
Brenda.
drinking cup at work help sell other pieces?
Not yet, but I'm trying. What did you say, Mr. Soleil? I heard you.
I just said good demo.
Thank you, Mark.
The only thing that I would add, I kept my mouth shut at the time. The only thing, when I stick my hollowing tool in there, which is a modified little flat scraper, I have a little curved point or a little curved section like you modified your scraper, but I'm using a real thin little scraper. And I do have my point inside the left margin so that there's no torque. The only thing that I do is I lay, after I drill my hole, so that there's 1/8 of an inch left at the very bottom. That's going to be the thickness of my wall. I stick my little tool in there, and across the opening for the body, I draw a magic marker line. So that when I reach that line, I have 1/8 of an inch wall thickness at the bottom. Then I take and I lay the tool over the top of the ball, and at the widest point, I have the tool between the widest point at the tip, and the tool comes back over the top, and I center it over the hole. And I draw an angled line parallel to the where the tool comes over the center of the hole. That way I know that I'm 1/8 of an inch at the widest point, and I'm 1/8 of an inch from the end. And all I do is I just hollow it out until that line is parallel with the hole in the top, and the other line is parallel with the hole in the top that measures the bottom. So I don't have to constantly feel in. I just go back and forth, and as soon as it reaches the line, it's done.
There you go. There you go. And there's always there. I made this little hollowing tool. Oh, I probably made this 6 months before I met you, Mark. And I was trying to solve the problem of getting into small. I was making some, I wouldn't say miniature vases or hollow forms, but small hollow forms. And I was just trying to get around the problem of getting inside around that edge, around that top edge where this monster, that's a 10 mil cutter. So it's already
way too
huge.
big.
Yeah, it's too big. So what can I do? And I got on the Zon and found these big pieces of high-speed steel, and they're not expensive. But what I had not learned at that point in time when I made this was that I really needed to try and keep this cutting surface as close to the center of the tool as possible. So I will do when I make a new one of these, I'm going to do it different. And what I may do is reshape this considerably and turn it into something else and make an entirely different tool. This is just what I made. This is probably the third tool I made for myself. It works. So I haven't.
You got plenty of room. Knock it off.
I'd probably just lop it off and just make another version of it. You're absolutely correct. So I just need to get around to it. I've been turning other things, so I haven't been doing little tiny projects like this until the adopted grandbaby came a few months ago, and I was like, oh, I need to make a top. And then somebody saw that top and wanted another top. You guys saw the second top, and here we are. So, I'll
if you're
probably
using-
reform it now.
Yeah. And again, the other thing that you can use, right? If you're using two different types of wood, right, in the rattles, you can always use the flexible CA glue, right, that never does crystallize. That way, if the two different woods expand or contract at a different rate, the super glue will never crystallize. It'll always remain flexible.
There you, now, one thing that I have not done is use two different glues for this. I've always used a single glue or single wood, two different glues, two different woods. I've always used a single wood because, and from a single piece, because of expansion and contraction that in order that if it's going to do it, it's going to do it at the same time because it's from the same chunk of wood was my reasoning.
And all my, like when I do hollow forms and everything, where I'm putting an insert collar on there and threading it, well, then I'll use the flexible super glue because it's going to be maple or something. But that way I never have to worry about, anything cracking or breaking down from the two different woods, different coefficients of expansion.
Yeah. Now Dane's mentioning using an Allen wrench made before 2000 because they were made of hardened steel to make a miniature hollowing tool. Thank you, Martin.
Night, Martin.
Sam Angelo has a series of little
he does
little
doesn't he?
Allen wrench hollowing tools that he made from old Allen wrenches, and they're brilliant little tools.
Patterned off of oh god, the lathe straddler.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, those work just fine, except you have to deal with the torque factor.
Absolutely, yeah.
As long as you have the little curve and the point, right?
Well, no, I mean by bending and modifying them. That way the cutting point's still on center, even with the Allen keys. But yes.
But you still,
one of the games you can play with those old Allen wrenches is to cut off the bend, make it smaller, and that way you can you get the cutting edge closer to the center of the shaft of the tool.
Nice.
So you just
right.
I mean,
but
it
anyway,
sticks out.
Very good demo, JJ.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. If anybody, nobody else has any questions, I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work. So,
right on, JJ. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Phil.
Great demo, Joaquin.
That was a great demo. Very good. Very good.
Good night.
Good
night.
Good night, buddy.
Thank you.
Night now, buddy.
Thanks for the
All right, let's
demo.
go back to Captain Eddie and see what he thought about that.
Demo.
Great. I like the idea. Hold on.
Got you.
All right. Okay. My buttons are going crazy here. I like the idea. Great turn. Great project there. But on the glue thing, I'd cheat on the whole thing and go with epoxy and put it together. I mean, hard glue, soft glue, whatever. That's just my choice on it. I like that 2-part 5-minute or 15-minute from Penn State. But hey, we're turning wood. We're getting some projects done, and that's good. And I like the layout ideas. So, but hey, you can't go anywhere unless you have a plan and sit down and draw it out on a piece of graph paper. And because that eliminates a lot of mistakes, because then up here you kind of put it together and then it's, it saves a lot of that. Oh my God, where do I cut this? And, hey folks, I like the last moment of information about the Allen wrenches and making some changes. And was it Matt that just said, you reduce the leg on that Allen? Yeah, you don't need a deep cutting point at that point. You need a cutting point, not a deep point. And you can just put a little arc in it if you need to reach back and get something. But you've reduced a lot of that twist. Like Mark Slay was saying, you have to adjust or adapt to the twist that's going to happen. So have it well set into a handle and one you can handle or hold on to. I've seen guys do some great demos with them And then I've seen guys that try to do a demo with them with a pair of pliers or vice grips. Nah, don't save any time and money. Just cut to the chase and make a good tool out of it. Alrighty. We're going to do a little more gallery. Show you this is meeting number 237 of our series. Yeah, we've been at this 4.5 years and we keep going. If you want an idea, if you have an idea for a demonstration, remember, this is your wood turning club. Yeah, exactly. Every week we gather and we talk about your wood turning. And I saw some names of old members that pop up again tonight. Welcome, folks. Glad to see you. Sometimes you drift out and drift in. Yeah, life gets in the way, but we welcome you all back. And you get what you pay for, and this is free. But we really want to have your input, and your input matters to us. So if you come up with something, an idea, a dream, say you can't do the demo, say you just have this brain cramp and something comes out. He's a good friend, and I could talk about him. But I mean, can you imagine what goes on inside of Billy's bird's head every day? Can you? And I don't think Billy can really imagine it. But it's like if you put Billy, Bert, and Duxbury in a room together, and then ask Matt Duck and Matt Harbor to come in and decorate it, what the heck would you get? You know, I mean, and I'm not picking on anybody. It's just that we go and ask this of wood turners every week. What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? You know, and then we put it all together and we come up with a project. And that's the beauty of this. Put all the stuff together and you come up with a fantastic project, something that you could easily say, this is mine. And who can say why? You know, because there's a reason why. Because it's mine. I got so much stuff in my gallery. And sometimes my wife and my kids come around and look at it and say, why'd you do this? And you got to answer is, well, I was turning the wood and it kind of spoke to me and said, you know what? It'd be funny if that didn't go this way, it went that way. And then sometimes you say, only because I was told it couldn't be done. Or I was told I wasn't talented enough to do it. That's a challenge. And sometimes we need a little bit of a challenge. And just don't get hurt. Don't get hurt. Listen to Safety Sue. Don't get hurt. Go out there and take a challenge. But at that instant when you say, I think it's gonna, stop. Stop right then and there. We talked about that shake fracture that you can get in some pieces. And black walnut's terrible for it. I do not turn black walnut for a long time because I had a beautiful piece, come undone on me, just got to catch. I got that little thing where I was making a downhill pass and I heard a click. You know, you're making a smooth clip and all of a sudden you heard a kick. You know, you go and say, wonder what that is. I'll stop and check it. But no, I didn't stop and check it. I went back to make that cut. I found that click. It rang my bell. Why it did knock me out and hurt me worse, I don't know, but it did knock me and it did hurt me. But it's one of these things, the warning bell went off. And I said, oh, what the heck, you know? No, let's listen to that warning bell. If it looks like it's going to hurt you, stop. Who are you trying to prove something to? It's you and that wood. You're going to win. So let's go out in the shop and be safe. Give it a little try and come up with something. But most of all, put some of the ideas and the techniques that we share with you each and every week. And we put it in our newsletter. We put it all on our website. And we put it there sharing it with you. And what we have is the world's finest wood turning meeting each and every Wednesday. We have the best wood turning website in the entire world. And we have a newsletter that is coming to be one of the best ever. And that newsletter needs your help. So you come up with something, photographs of your work, a tip and trick, an idea, a project or whatever, send it on into JJ. Let's get them. That's editor@worldwidewoodturners.org. Editor at worldwidewoodturners.org. And that's where you send the ideas and photographs and all for our newsletter. Pretty simple. All right, let's get back to gallery right now. I want to see what you folks been up to. I know you. Hey, I just saw Joaquin checking a minute ago. This could get dangerous anytime now. No, he might not be next on list, but anytime now it could get dangerous.
Right. Matt, who we got?
Well, Terry Reynolds was on our list, but he bailed in the last couple of minutes. So we're going to go to
No,
Doc.
I'm here.
Wait a minute. Where'd you go then?
I didn't go nowhere. I'm here.
All right. Let me see if I can find you.
I got you,
I
Terry.
didn't go anywhere.
There we go. Okay.
Very good. No, I just moved around a little bit. I'm kind of ugly, so when I ain't doing anything, I turn the camera the other way so you can't see me. Anyway, this is a piece. This is an older piece that I did. This is a piece from classes I did with John Jordan, and just can tell the resemblance. I'm sure a lot of you know who John was. But
yep. Can you pull it back a little bit, Terry? Can you pull it back towards you? There you go.
There you go. Beautiful.
If you know John Jordan's work, you'll know this is not it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
This is not too bad, but this isn't really what I wanted to show you. I brought this out to show you because I tried to make another piece like it. I've made several, but I was making another one. And right as you come around this corner on the inside, you're going downhill and it turns real nice. And it's real easy to get that thin. And that's what I did on this piece. I think I might have showed it to you a few months back. And we had some suggestions on what to do. But this was originally designed to be that. Like that one that was there. But I came around one of these corners and cut through it. It was too thin at the top. So I went ahead and tried to turn it. I had it all indexed out, but I knew that wasn't going to work. So I took all the indexing off of it. And I didn't quite lay it out as nice as I would have liked to have. And I got them a little uneven. It's nowhere near done. It needs about 100 hours of sanding yet. But I'm trying to see what I can do to add to it. I'm thinking about putting a stem or piece of some kind of a bulb or something in the middle of it. Because it was never designed. It was never designed to show the inside, so you can actually still see the Forstner bit mark on the inside where I went through.
I don't have any words. I don't have any words for that. That is.
But I think I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do with the inside, and then I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the bottom yet. I wondered. I says, how am I going to cut that off? But I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to make some kind of a base for it. To set it on. Yeah. My wife kind of thinks that it ought to look like a leaf or something that I make the base out of, but I'm still up in the jury's still out on what I'm going to do with that.
It looks like a flower bulb, Terry.
Yeah. Did any of the tops? Did any of the tops warp and come in? Come in any? Did they warp?
I didn't catch all that.
I said, did they warp and come in to make it even more of an effect? The wood, did it move?
No, it didn't move. It looks like it did, but what happened was I didn't get the layout right, and this point is too far away for that point, and it makes it look shorter. But it was symmetrical. It may have moved a little, but I don't think it's really.
It's all right though, Terry. That asymmetric.
It's beautiful.
That asymmetric part, it gives it a very organic look, and I like it.
Yeah, right. I do too. That's exactly right. Yep.
It's great.
But I'm still working on it. I did this like probably 2 or 3 years ago when I made the first one, and I cut through it and I threw it on the side forever. And then I decided I brought it out and had some suggestions to do this. I think Jim Duxbury kind of gave me the first suggestion on doing that, and I was a little skeptical, but I figured it wasn't going to do anything but lay out in the shop for the next 20 years if I didn't. So I thought I'd take a shot at it. But I'll be back with it one of these days.
Cool.
Right on,
That's a nice name.
Looks
Okay,
good.
Very nice, Terry.
That's pretty. That's really pretty.
I'd like to see
That's
what
all
all's
I
in your
got,
slacker.
Very nice.
Hey, Terry, I'd love to see what all you have in your slacker stack.
So,
Probably some good
but anyway,
stuff.
that's all I got, guys.
All right. Thank you, sir. Who we got next, Matt?
Hey,
Mr.
it's good to
Doug.
see good to see everybody. Several of you are familiar with the hashtag week challenge. This time it was decorated chalice. This is a very small chalice, but still it's a chalice. Gold on the inside with a red and gold band in the center. That was a piece of fogwood, I do believe. I really don't know what it is for sure. I'm sitting here looking at the grain trying to see, can I figure out what that is? I don't know. It was something that was laying around. But anyway, that was just a fun piece to do. And then yesterday I decided I was going to play in the water a little bit.
I
Oh,
saw
that-
when you were doing that. That came out
Got a-
nice.
Got a
Nice.
trumpet bell shape, a little bit of a chamfered edge on the top, and that's the blue. I almost that picture almost looks like I didn't quite get enough white on it, but it looks really good in person. But I wasn't done with that. I wanted to try something else, and I needed two to be able to do this demonstration in an hour and a half, and so I did a purple one as well. That one I think came out just a little bit nicer.
Yeah,
Very
that's really
good.
sharp. That's really
Bell
sharp. Yeah.
shape. I got enough white on this one. I don't know what happened to the blue. Well, I do know part of the blue. When I was taking the tenon off the blue one, the paper towel that I had in there to cushion it as I started doing the bottom stuck. And so I had to kind of work on it a little bit. But anyway, the purple came out really nice, I thought.
Yeah, it looks great.
Very
I thought the
sharp.
blue looked good too.
Anyway,
Those look-
that's what I've got for this week. Yeah.
Those
Question?
look great, Doug.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're up,
Hello,
Mr. Howard.
Talking about sleeping.
So he's had some nice stuff this week on Facebook, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he shows us.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This little elevated hollow form, and
Yes, sir.
cherry is cherry, and finial is ebony.
Beautiful.
Can you see that?
Double-sided. Wow.
And so,
Beautiful.
I had cut this piece of cherry in half, and I made the bow part, and then put a tenon on it so that the pedestal can fit on it. That's ebony. And then I kind of hollowed the inside of this piece and put a recess here on this part, and then glue it back down. And then I took some glue, put in here, and put some of that thin wrapping paper, real almost like tissue, and kind of wad it in here and got it stuck and put glue on it and everything. And then I took some acrylic paint, black paint, and painted it up so it looked kind of, I don't know.
It looks
Wow.
great.
It's almost reptile skin looking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
With that texture on there. That's cool, Howard.
Yeah.
Lizard people.
Yeah.
I love it. Very nice.
It's
So
beautiful.
anyway, that's pretty much what I got. So just a little.
Nice job, Howard.
That's really nice, Howard.
Wow.
Well,
Looks
thank
great.
you.
Beautiful.
Appreciate it.
Well done as always.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Oh, by the
Next up
way,
is Joaquin.
by the way,
You
hey,
sure make it hard to follow, you know it?
Joaquin, when are we
He
going to
didn't
have a show your crotch night again?
I shared this earlier today on the UK Zoom meeting, and I hadn't finished anything this week. I still got some stuff on the lathe, some big pieces, but this is a piece I did out of Cindy Drozal's IRD. She turned this type of vessel, and it's a Texas ebony on the finial and the foot, And so this is, I tried my hand at dyeing, which I'm not happy with. This is a piece of ash.
Okay.
And I started out with yellow on top and blue on the bottom, and it kind of blended it, hoping to be a green. I don't know. It didn't turn out as well as I thought it would.
I like it.
Don't break it.
I like it.
Looks good.
Yeah, that's my extent in dyeing. I've done
Yeah,
some,
one of the things to consider, Joaquin, when you're doing that is that the color of the wood, the background color of the wood affects how the dye, how the coloration of the dye. So if you want a bright colors, then the whiter the wood, the better, and consider bleaching. So yeah, and even ash has got a little bit of yellow in it, so that affects how everything comes out.
yeah, it's just a trial and error. It's, down the road, maybe I can improve on that. But that's a piece she did. And so she also did this fabulous finial box. And it's about the size of a golf ball. They can put a golf ball up against it. But this is Texas 70 also. But the yellow wood, that's the sap wood of the Texas 70. I put that
Beautiful.
on. And that ring inside, just like she does. And it was a fun project. I thought it was going to be bigger than this, but I followed her drawing, and that's how it come out.
It looks
That's
great.
really pretty.
Very nice.
Thank you. And that's what I got tonight.
Oh,
Very
beautiful.
cool.
Thank you.
Great work.
All right. And the last person on the list for tonight is Tim. If I can find him. There he is. All right. Oh no. Yeah, I don't know where.
Anyway,
he turned the mic on. Hang on a second, Tim.
Hang on a second.
Let me highlight you. You turned the mic on, and right as I was about to highlight you.
Yeah, sorry.
You got
brain.
it? Okay, thanks.
Well, I haven't been turning anything this month, sad to say. I will say that I had a heck of a great time down there visiting with Captain Eddie for the night. Then we went to New Orleans, then North Georgia, and over to Jacksonville and Biloxi, Mississippi, and just a great tour of the South. And then I had to work the last 2 weekends, so that kind of sucked. But what I wanted to mention was I've been posting a bunch of stuff about SWAT coming up, and I'm going to be bringing excess wood that I have. I've got a bunch of wood. The wife's telling me, "Hey, turn it or burn it or get rid of it again." So
That's sacrilege.
which really sucks for those free wood, right? But literally, I went to my sawmill the other day and I picked up 8-foot long, friggin' 4-foot bundle for $30. It's
wow.
Okay, it's the cutoffs before they made dimensional lumber, so it's odd sizes. It's like the first cut of the board. I get some that's like 3/4 inch thick and it's 8 foot wide by about 20 inches wide and whatever. Some oblong, some square. I've got some Osage. I've got stuff because out there where I work at Camp Swift, they're clearing a lot of the fence line. They got 21 miles of fence line to clear out, and they're cutting trees down to do this. And the guys that are cutting the trees are going, "Hey, Tim, do you want some of this? Do you want some of that?" So, I brought wood home. So when I get up to SWAT, and I'm going up there Thursday night to Waco, I'll be staying at the Midway Lake Waco Park. And the reason I bring that up is I know some folks are strapped for cash, especially with the increase of price of the entrance. SWAT hotels are high, but you get in those Corps of Engineer parks like Midway or whatever, and get in for a whole lot cheaper, especially if you have the disability access pass like I do, or even America the Beautiful pass. They give you discounted rates to camp at those sites. It's normally electrical and water, but a site that would normally go $44 a night, I'm paying $22 a night. And I'm there from Thursday to Monday morning. Yeah. But anyway, not to go on and on about that, but the reason I wanted this conversation was I'm bringing a bunch of excess wood that I've got. If other people have excess wood of different kinds, our recommendation will be that, hey, you guys, kind of like the barter page, but a couple of people have been hitting me up on this tonight. if you got some strange woods from your area that people don't normally get, bring them to SWAT, and then we can all swap and we get free wood. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the vendors there. That's not what I'm talking about. But I gave away, a fair amount of wood last year for free. I'm not looking for any money. I don't want anything. But if you want to bring me a nice piece of cypress, if you're, down along swamp area or something like that, or something that's native to your area, by all means, I'll be willing to throw it in my truck and bring it home. So,
Hey, Tim.
yes, sir.
Tim, when I was up in Austin demoing, he gave me a big old piece of pine. It was about 3 foot in diameter or so.
Yeah, I've got about 10 of those left, Joaquin.
Well, I had a buddy talk me out of that because he wanted to make a tabletop out of it. So
you need more?
Not really. I will be there. Not really. Let's see what I can bring, but yeah.
Okay.
I do have a couple of pieces of that.
I mean, we give free demos and everything every week, and such great advice to everything. And you gave me that piece of Texas Ebony last year, and I gave some stuff to Walt Wager, and we swapped some stuff back and forth. So I just thought it would be something nice for guys that are getting ready to go down there. Hey, you can fill up your entire trunk or anything, but if you want to bring some, I've got a 3/4 ton.
What about hackberry? You get much hackberry?
I've got hackberry. We got quite a few trees that got cut down. I've got some older stuff that it's been on the ground probably a year. I didn't take all the bark off. I didn't always anchor seal all the pieces. Sometimes I just got too busy with training the troops that I didn't have time to process everything. But I have some Osage. I've got hackberry. I've of course got some pecan. I may be able to get my hands on some black walnut, obviously more pecan, mesquite, stuff like that. So,
I'll bring you some.
Okay.
I'll bring you some hackberry.
I'll bring something up there.
Okay. Yeah. And of course I'll be bringing that oak. I've got some live oak. I've got some red oak. I can get my hands on more red oak if people want. If you want a chunk of red oak, either log or you want me to split it or whatever, next week or something, shoot me a message. Tell my email address is in the contact list there. Tell me what you're looking for, and I'll try to bring it. When I come up there to SWAT, like I say, I've got a 3/4 ton F-250, so I can drag a little bit of wood around if I need to. I'll put it in boxes, and that way we can kind of separate things if people ask for specific things.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Tim.
All right. Yep. And hopefully I see a whole lot more of y'all down there at SWAT. Meeting Captain Eddie. My wife and I had a good chance to sit there and talk with them on the front porch there for about an hour and maybe a little less. But we had a nice long visit, and good seeing them. So hope to see you all up there at SWAT this year.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I can, like I said, I can bring some hackberry. I can bring some blackjack oak. I can bring some hickory. Most of it's wormy.
You got hickory, Billy?
I have some, yeah.
Okay.
They're not real big pieces. It was a relatively small tree, but I can bring some of that up. Hello, Brenda.
All right, let's go back to Brenda here. Brenda's got something to show Mr. Grinstead.
I gotta re-show this tonight because now Bob is here. Bob, remember the measurements you gave me for the mirror, the segmented mirror? Or what? Yeah, mirror. No. Picture frame.
Frame.
Yeah. So the pieces are 2.09, and they're cut at 15-degree angle. And when I put them together, they didn't make a circle, so I had to put 13 pieces instead of 12. And I did keep the outside, I didn't round it off like Bob suggested.
I think it turned out great, Brenda.
Yeah, Brenda, great. Looks good.
I had to show it to you. Here's the back. So
Very cool.
I did redo it and get the right measurements this time. So still got
Bob
another
said it
frame.
looks
good. His phone's dead.
Bob's got a low phone. He's saying it looks great. Thank you for showing it to him.
Ah, okay.